Greetings and welcome to our ECAC finals. We've got Concord Maroon and Fisher Navy all geared up and ready to go. The fall champs versus last year's spring champs, all for a bid to the CECC Texas in just a couple weeks. My name's Pyro J. I'm joined here with the Danger Taco. And Taco, what do you say about this best of 7? Are we geared up? Are we ready for it?
Absolutely, and this is exactly I would say the precipice through which everyone kind of works up to. You get all the way up and say, okay, well, which teams are really going to be able to reach the apex of this competition? Of course, it's going to be the team that made it last year into a land competition in that Texas spot in Fisher. And then also the back-to-back in Concord. Yeah, you won fall, but unfortunately doesn't give you too much negotiation room for getting into land. But now maybe if you could do it back-to-back, then it gives you that other edge. So there's multiple narratives here, and in a way, it's kind of the big dog versus the underdog a little bit. I think Fisher's a name that rings in the ears and also probably the nightmares of a lot of collegiate competitors. So Concord coming into this, they have to believe that they can do it. And honestly, I definitely think they can. It's a solid program that's definitely been on the rise lately.
They will have to believe they can do that. That confidence is definitely going to be important to hoist that banner once again, as you said, not only in the fall, but here in the spring. And when you talk about small dogs and big dogs, Fisher could really be that big dog, but they had to take down a bigger dog to get to this position. In round 1 or 2, they took out Bruton Parker College in a 4-2 series, and they were seeded higher than them. So Fisher College, if you take down one of the biggest dogs, maybe you really do have what it takes to take down everyone in your way. And Taki, you mentioned the mental. It's got to be confident. It's got to be strong here. How else does it shift with so much on the line here with a bid to CECC on the line?
Well, I mean, it's a difficult thing because a lot of people might look at this and say, well, this is Fisher Navy. Technically, it's a B team, but I would say this is an A team pretty much in any other college. This is going to be Falls, Justice, and Tasek on the field for Fisher up against the, I would say, rogue band of Helix, ET, and Pancake on Concord Maroon. But either way, all I know is that it's going to be entertaining. These teams have fought tooth and nail to get to this finals, determine a land spot, and maybe we'll see Concord jump it out in front, if not for Justice, on a great recovery.
Really thought we were going to get that early 10-second goal for what we think could be that long series to start it off hot, but instead it's a save on the line. And I mentioned these roster members of our Fisher College Navy team and how they don't look so much as a quote-unquote B team, but one that can hold their own against anybody. 5 members on the roster, but these 3 have reason to have confidence in them.
And being able to just play effective defense is half of it. I mean, so much of high-level Rocket League, not only in the collegiate and pro scene, but just like in any level now, is about the defense. And particularly curious to see, Pyro J, you and I were talking about this, the new update in Rocket League.
Yeah.
If some eagle-eyed viewers might notice, there's some circles next to the names now. That is now the active boost count that every member on each team can see of their own teammates. It is not a fully public thing. It's not the opponents can't read it. So obviously from this caster view, we can see all of it, but I'm really fascinated to see really how this is actually going to play in and really affect the gameplay, if at all.
One thing I'll definitely keep my eye out for is if we got that aerial play and that circle is full, then I can expect some fancy mechanics and some outplays. But if it's empty, then everybody knows of the fake. Well, everybody but the opposition. Hold on, a demo on the line, and suddenly we trail back over to the corner as Concord are looking to regain that control. It definitely provides some extra value and insight to the matchup, as really that information is only available to the teammates of the squad. Boost or not, Taco, this shot's gonna be a tough one to get in front of.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a double commit, but more so I think Helix just tried to take it off of the teammate. He had an easier touch up until really the crucial moment where he actually had to control that one. It got a little bit away from him, and the worst part is that when you're playing a team like Fisher, especially when they're poached up on that sidewall, they're always going to be able to find a dime right afterwards. So an unfortunate way to give up the first goal, but an understandable one at that. Concord's certainly not helpless. They have the tools to get back into it, particularly if Falls gets an awkward touch here, but why should I ever doubt him? Right back into the midfield.
It was a nice play there. I think he was the lone survivor on the goal line after the demolition from Helix. So in order to waste time and get your team to reset on defense, he takes to these skies, gets that aerial, slows down the play tremendously. Now it's just us with a slow down play as well. Catches it on the backboard, reaches the half-court line. And the opposition of Concord University, they are keen to get this equalizer as quickly as they can.
Ooh, it's a little bit of a dive in from Helix. Don't really blame him, but Tasek plays it really well up until that crucial moment on the shot. Not able to get that thrown through. ET, a little bit late to the party. Justice tried to just hold things up, but it looks like Concord able to survive yet again as we cross halftime in game number 1. A lot of it has been kind of spent in the midfield for Concord. Outside that first initial shot, it feels like right now Fisher's kind of tightened up everything in the backfield. They're mostly stable across these saves, and it's really on Concord to maybe turn up the heat, particularly through these demos. That might have opened things up for Pancake, but he can't get enough power.
Streaking across the goal line is Justice again and again. You're talking about tightening up the back line. There's no other decision to make here. It's a lot of defense here, played by Fisher College Navy, and yeah, we're seeing midfield, but that's about all the light of day that Fisher get. Will it matter? 2 minutes remaining. They still do have the lead, so it may be enough of that midfield back and forth to propel them to have this lead for the whole game.
Helix also going to meet the wall that is Tasek. Not even that, he's not done. That's a pass into Falls yet again. It's going to be doubling up the lead for Fisher. They're just unrelenting on some of these attacks.
ET just so... I don't want to say awkward. It was actually a quick maneuver off the backboard with the boost remaining, but with Fisher recognizing the moments that can count for them, they leap, they jump, and take advantage of those huge moments on attack, although they've been fewer than Concord University. Seems as if they're trying to propel yet another one as Tasek leaps into that effort and off the ceiling, ready for this pass as well. Put it down, brother. Tasek almost there.
That would have been disgusting. One of those things that's, I would say, more just a morale kick right in the stomach, where you're not really expecting that one. It's not going to go in. They'll take the more conventional route with Justice. However, Helix is ready for that endeavor. Pancake also going to have to take this one a little bit slower. This is still in the realm of, I would say, calm approaches from Concord. They don't really need to be able to completely stamp down the pedal into the floor, but at the very least now they need to get a bit more decisive, because Fisher's just going to keep doing this. These slow air dribbles, buying all the time in the world and just wasting all the clock down.
Yeah, moments are becoming fewer to make those rotation cuts and those boost deals and those demos just to throw off. Fisher Navy throwing themselves into the play, though, is Falls on that aerial. ET able to intercept, but it's back to the midfield. Falls not quite in position, had to go for that mid boost, being empty in the tank. Helix up the ceiling, got a midfield pass option, takes it above instead. That backboard still clamped up.
And what is it about Justice? I mean, there's not really positions in Rocket League, but it feels like he's playing goalie, or at the very least sweeper, because he's just swinging back and forth across, and of course I'm highlighting his defensive ability. He can get involved on offense. That's going to be his first to nearly get him to 700 points after game 1.
700, rack up the numbers, Justice. And you know what? I would have expected Concord to pull the goalie, but in that situation, it works just well for Fisher College as they kick off this match just the way they want. Again, folks, a bid to see ECAC Texas on the line, and I don't think Fisher College are going to be calling any adaptations, any changes that are necessary. I was going to say, especially if they find their fourth there, but kicks right off the post. Pancake's gonna get a final clear down the other side. Helix with a carry out into the corner. That game 1 win is secured for Fisher.
And this is typically the, I wouldn't necessarily say the hyper important moment of the series for a team like Concord, but typically when you play a team like Fisher, they're incredibly fast. These are some of the most experienced players within collegiate. If you talk about people like Falls, they've been a journeyman. They've played at Bay State University before that became Fisher. They played within the West Virginia system along with Angel. So really there's a lot of top tier experience there, and just constantly adding talent on top of that makes them really overwhelming, which is why I'm not really surprised when I see these stat lines and they're really racking up shots. They're finding all these passes. But what I'm most impressed by with the Concord is that they're still getting a fair amount of shots off. It's really just about making sure that you tighten up on the defense. And as long as that can stay somewhat consistent, you can stay within arm's length of being able to at least take a lead or at least stay even in the game. Everything's on the table.
It all is. After game 1, you can kind of see how these teams could continue to go back and forth, but I can't help but to agree with you, Taco. That defense, the cohesion on that side has to be almost picture perfect for Concord University, given the pace that we're talking about from Fisher College. I actually feel like these players can play even quicker. It's just, it hasn't been a necessity quite yet in this match. So making sure that enough boost is ready for the first interception or the long clear needed to diffuse the attacks from Fisher. It's going to be all that and more necessary for Concord as we get into game 2.
I would say one of the big issues, I would have to say, is all the passing that we are seeing from Fisher. They were going off the ceiling, but also they're just doing the typical bread and butter for any high-level squad. You want to be able to find those infield passes. So Concord, if you're going to play on offense, I really do like your point about making sure you don't necessarily give too much respect. You don't want to sit back. You want to lead with a little bit of aggression at the very least, because if you're just sitting on the goal line, they're going to pick you apart right in front. Kind of like this. Justice dimes one, top shelf back post.
What kind of operations of mechanics are in store here? The velocity behind that ball on the shot. I want to say he got it just as the ball was coming off the ground. And, well, when you're working with those fine-tune margins, then rely on just us to make that perfect moment come true.
That's got to be so irritating. You have 2 players back. You're like, okay, we have pretty much the entire goal covered, and then the 1% that is not is exactly where Justice picks out. But that is really just sometimes how the cookie crumbles. Helix trying to crumble the defense, at least at Fisher, maybe with a lead blocker, but Pancake just can't quite find that real estate on the opponent's car.
Didn't notice the Merc until we got it right there from Falls, and oh no, starting to fall apart is that defense finally from Fisher. It's the first goal of the series for Concord.
Tasek actually overthinking that. I could see what his initial thought was. I think he wanted that boost and maybe take that light touch, but then as the ball approached, he realized it's actually just far enough out. He can't really touch this one, and he might have actually tried to bail at the last second, but either way, I don't think Concord is going to really care too much. That's a free goal for them, and gets them right back into it after just about a minute.
ET here. Let's find Helix from midfield. Immediately the flip reset taken to the ground to make for a quicker approach and to cut rotation to keep this offense going forward. But that big bully of a Merc is going to send that ball downfield. Force Concord to reset. It's back to the midfield, but this time it's intercepted by Justice. He's probably recognized most of the plays coming out from Concord today. That vision has helped tremendously, but again, the big moment for Falls as the Merc crushes through.
Well, it's a big car, so it has some big moments. The double tap with a flip reset as well, just to stay in front of it. And some people might say, that's kind of BM. It's kind of just like him trolling. Nope, Falls actually just really likes going into the Merc. Back in the day when they were on CRL squads, on West Virginia, on Bay State from time to time, they would actually kind of lock in on the Merc. And it actually might just help them ascend. Who knows? If you feel good, then you'll play well.
I feel like a lot of casual players don't know or sometimes forget that they added a new hitbox to the game just for the Merc. So it can't work in very wondrous ways, but at the moment, it's still Fisher climbing on this lead. That first one from Concord, I hardly remember it, Taco.
Yeah, it's a tough one, mainly just because I feel like everything kind of gets sketched away with all these mistakes. Yeah, Fisher makes one and Concord gets a goal, but right there, I feel like that is where comms really need to come into relief, where Helix is going for this one, feeling like they have a clear, but there really isn't too much of a need to get that ball. At the very least, just call out that you're awkward, let your teammate come in, grab a 50-something, but either way, sometimes I think you're just so in your head against a team like Fisher because you know it doesn't take much for them to completely break and open your defense like that with Tasek downfield, not quite able to make it go.
Nice work from Helix. Getting in front exactly where the ball was going to be placed. Bump there, though, onto Helix as they continue to try. Make a defensive effort. That's Tasek now off the ceiling over the Falls. Falls with the shot off the backboard. Third man does not commit. Instead, Justice transitioning back to defense, ensuring that Fisher can reset on the other side.
There's a lot of players near the ball, but no one actually getting on it. Tasek says, no problem, let's just send it right back at the goal. Justice, another 50 down. He's trying to bait in kind of that awkward angle. Concord not taking the bait so far, doing pretty well to hold everything at bay up until they might run out of boost, up until Helix, the only one with some, will be able to take some down only temporarily back out to midfield. Concord having such a struggle just to be able to kind of engineer a counter, much less a consistent clear.
And it's a completely different tempo from the last game. Amp up the tempo, keep the pace rolling for Fisher because it's the fourth goal.
Really solid touch from Justice, but also knows that he doesn't have to score this one. Doesn't even have to get the double tap. Tasek is just lurking in the background the entire time, and oftentimes the best air dribbles are really just the one that baits in the first challenge, just to kind of tap it just above the pixels of that front bumper. Very well done yet again by Fisher, and I will say they're setting the tempo and they are not lessening it. They are not taking the foot off the gas. They are not even playing with a little bit of complacence. They're getting playful with the ball, but it's just because they are that confident in their play style and that it'll continue to work.
Playful, the creativity, it's definitely helping the case for Fisher. As we mentioned, Concord University having a much more difficult time materializing offensive attacks that last more than a couple seconds, which is a complete different picture from game number 1, or at least the first half of it. Swung fully into the momentum of the game. Is it on the side of Fisher? But maybe Helix can switch that around right now with an air dribble off the crossbar. Pancake trying to back up to the ball, but has to leave it and go forward instead for ET to maybe close in on that gap, but it's already back on their side.
Ball's also just trying to stay in front of it. Doesn't make things too much easier, but really nothing has been easy about this game for Concord. I feel like Helix is definitely trying their best to be able to use their aerial ability, and they're getting closer and closer, but not actually really find that pay dirt. It's got to be frustrating after a certain point, but this is also where I think in the back of your mind, you have to remember this is best of 7. This gives you a lot of time to strategize, think about how you want to approach, and certainly they're going to need it because right now, Fisher, they're styling on him. That's a pogo pass nearly into a goal.
Oh my, Justice first with the top corner banger at the beginning of this game. Now the pogo pass, what else are we going to see? Not this game, Justice with the fake to get past one, but there's still layers to that defense. Concord University, mentioned long series that's ahead, a full best of 7. Well, you can't average a single goal between 2 games. It's only been 1 from Concord University today, and they're gonna need to have a bit more productivity on attack if they want any hope at winning this series. How about Pancake to at least help the statistics?
And that's very much just something to be able to boost the mood a tad. Just get a freebie. You know, there's a little bit of a fake challenge. Fisher is a little bit broken up in no man's land on 2 different players. So sure, you'll take that. It's not really going to influence anything outside of the game freezing or glitching on this kickoff. They're giving it for free to ET, but I don't think even Justice wants that one to go in. They're trying to set up a trick play. Falls all the way across to Tasek. Will not reach that target, so instead Fisher will have to settle for the measly 4-2 victory for themselves. And I think this is where the minute comes in, where Concord has to kind of sit down and figure out how they want to handle this next game.
It's kind of that situation where Concord scored 2 goals instead of 0 in game 2, but I was more confident than in this team in game 1 compared to game 2. There was so much more back and forth. I want to say possession was in favor of Concord, even in game number 1, but Fisher is a team where if they find a rhythm, if they feel like they've downloaded you as a team, they can start being creative. They can start having fun, as you mentioned earlier, Taco. The flip reset double from Falls, the pinch perfect goal from Just Us. It's just beauty meets success for Fisher right now.
It can be so difficult to be able to actually tamp them down, mainly just because Fisher is a squad that obviously has a lot of talented people. That school is never really short for incredibly well-balanced squads with a lot of desirable players for rosters being able to make up their entire pantheon of their esports program. But at the same time, the thing that really stands out to me is that Fisher is playing off each other so well. Even when they have missed shots, even when the plays don't really work out, you can see they're in comms, they're locked in. This is not just kind of a casual event for it, even though it seems like it is with all these fancy mechanics and trying to these trick plays. They're just that good that this is just part of their repertoire. So Concord, knowing that, has to make sure they put up a hand and not allow Falls to march on through. A demo for a demo as we're back to mid.
Little trade action there, and a second flip reset in the first 15 seconds of the game, but it's all being met here by Concord University. They say, go ahead, pull out a rabbit out of your hat. I want to see every trick and trade that you have to offer, because we have maybe more. Helix from the ceiling gains another flip, but just couldn't bring it down in front of the goal. And it's battled to midfield, a lot of people there, but only a couple people on the ball. Musty flick from Pancake doesn't reach its target. Now it's Helix past Tasek? No. Tasek nearly backflips just to stay in the moment there and get a challenge on the ball. And suddenly Fisher regain control. Tasek up the backboard. That's a miss. Just Us is going to be here on the counter to deny that shot.
And right now, I feel like Helix is trying to take that front man role, just try to use that air dribbling ability, get into awkward positions, and force Fisher potentially into something a little weird. Helix trying that again, but Justice saw the danger coming. How about Pancake? That's a beat over the top. That's a beat past everybody for the lead.
From all the defense we've seen from Justice, I was sure that they were going to plummet from the ceiling and save this shot from Pancake. Appeared to be pixels away, but Concord University, it's at least a mirrored effect from game 2 in the sense that they score their first.
It's a good job that Pancake had that tunnel vision in a good way this time, just being able to focus only on getting that shot in between the 6. They know, yes, even though it is still in the cards, that Justice could get back. Not always a guarantee. That one looked a bit more open, but maybe from an odd angle. Tasek gonna miss that one. Helix, he got the hold net to shoot at, but he doesn't have the boost to get above it.
It just felt like that was going to be the start of the tidal wave of momentum for Concord University. Mistakes really becoming apparent and vulnerabilities from Fisher on defense, which uncharacteristic as part of this series as we're already into game 3. But if those mistakes are prevalent and continue to arise, Concord, they're going to be able to take more of an advantage.
ECAC, kind of an awkward bump play, not really getting the power he's looking for. Falls, though, gets plenty of touches on that one, not past one. How about a second to be able to lead Justice through the back end? Another demo, Helix. He's been in that situation before. At least he had boost last time. Same with ET. They're just trying to get that first touch to the sideline. As you can see, Fisher kind of formulating their plan, kind of circling in the midfield, trying to ramp things up as they know they have the temporary resource advantage. ECAC, if he wasn't bumped out, very well could have been a double.
Could have been, but more opportunities arising here. Justice and Falls ready to bump somebody on the goal line. No bump, but there is a dunk. Slam it home, Justice.
That's at half the skill as of staying close to the read, because it forces the defender not only to get the touch on the ball, but also put it in a safe spot. But ET, you don't really have those options. 0 boost in the tank for about 90% of that last attack from Fisher, and eventually it's going to come to bite you when you just can't get high enough.
Low boost, all that physicality on the goal line. I mean, you could see the work off the ball that's being put in by Fisher to keep the resources low and the opportunities light for Concord to save these incoming shots from Fisher. The equalizer is here, but what's more from Concord? Oh my God, 2 touches from Pancake, a drop down from ET, makes it 2 for Concord.
That's a gorgeous counterattack. Helix trying to catch it with the reset. That doesn't work. How about Pancake with a double tap? Doesn't matter if you miss, just lob it back up, and that is exactly what you want out of your team's rotation. Solid comms gives Fisher 0 opportunity to leap on in and stop that one. That is just textbook.
Pancake came into this game ready to play. That was the first goal, and now the assist from that radical double tap. And they've got the most saves in the game as well. So with that spot on the line at the Esports U, the CECC, excuse me, Texas land in a couple weeks, sometimes it's time to just put up or shut up. And Pancake, they're here to play.
There's been plenty of opportunities to be able to spawn into that CECC land spot, so this is just the final one we're going to be able to see decide, because as you mentioned, a couple weeks doesn't leave you a lot of time, which means these teams know that, yeah, we have that other league, yeah, we can do fine, it's okay, there's multiple spots. But now, yeah, it really, when you do get into that situation, we've seen plenty of teams kind of step up throughout the CECC in the past and being able to kind of make those long kind of Cinderella runs throughout whatever league that they choose to participate in. So being Concord, being a past champion, this is not just a fluke for them, although they need to be careful. Out of nowhere, Justice with a low-hanging fruit of an air dribble, still able to make it so sweet.
The be careful comment reminds me of Fairy Peak, and it might as well be Fairy or Justice. It doesn't matter. The mechanics on display today from this player have been exemplary. The carry on the air dribble to get past the final defender was sublime. And now we've got that tie game with under 90 seconds to go. It's anybody's ball game, especially with a shot fired there from Concord. Just couldn't reach her target.
That's the only thing I'm worried about for Concord. Yes, I know Fisher is difficult to handle, but I trust the defense to be able to somewhat hold up to things, kind of like that one from Pancake. But we've seen a couple times now where Concord has a shot, and it's almost like they know they have to get to it quickly, and in doing so, they rush it, and then they are not able to actually put that on target with the venom or accuracy that they're looking for. I don't know how many times they're going to get away with that before Fisher eventually just tries to clamp on down. I was waiting for the follow through, but I think Justice better off just kind of sitting in midfield and lobbing it back up for ECAC. Now off the ceiling, looking for a crazy read, and that time was a bit too crazy.
Thought it was over when ET couldn't quite reach that ball, and there were 2 attackers on the ball. How about just 1 here from ECAC? No, that's not going to do it. And with Helix taking Justice out, seemingly that key to the attack of Fisher, maybe it is enough of a diffusal to set Concord back on their way. Pass from ECAC reaches a bit too far across the width of the field. Ball still battled into the corner, and the war wages on. Pancake beaten by Falls off the corner. Close one again for Fisher, but they just can't finish. 10 seconds now. Justice flip reset, make it double. How about triple on the tap? No! The teammate came in for the shot too early, and the combination does not see through. Final seconds. ECAC pinch play with Concord. I'm not sure that favors them, so ET says send it down, bring it to extra time.
It's good awareness. You don't want to overcomplicate things. I think the temptation is saying, well, there's a couple players up. Maybe I can like engineer something out of this. Just play it safe. This is the closest you've been all series long, Concord, and maybe it can be a win indeed. ET's trying to get that across, but he had no distance between the ball and the back wall. You can't really do anything with that, so maybe just try to keep the attack alive. Helix to ET, sidewall justice, they're late to it. Pancake, it's on the doorstep, onto the near post, and that's a dub for Concord back in this series.
What do you do if your fall's here? You're one defender with seemingly 2-3 attackers that can strike at any time. And the leap, it's just not high enough. Concord University, they certainly reached their heights with a win against Fisher, keeping the series close.
And that's exactly what I was talking about with Concord earlier, is that they just need to focus on staying within arm's reach. It's really just about absorbing pressure and then using that chemistry that they've shown throughout this game, and honestly, little glimpses across games 1 and 2, despite being losses, to their best advantage. And right there, you can see it. They were just pummeling Fisher right at the start of that OT, and I'm so glad actually able to get something out of it. Now Fisher has a thought maybe creeping in the back of their mind that this is not going to be the casual stroll of a series they might have anticipated.
Just how Fisher have made this long road, taking down BPC all the way to the finals, as have Concord University, and as have Concord University gotten a win in one of these semesters. As much as Fisher want to kind of set the bar over their opponent with that confidence and that leadership, that historical leadership and wins for their team all the time, Concord are right there. And with that overtime brawl, and like you said, finally getting the finishing factor on all this pressure that they're able to exert is so huge for them. Can it bring them over the line, though? Because that's one win, Taco, in what could be a long series.
It's you actually, right as I was about to speak, you took the words right out of my mouth. It is a long series because I've seen this many a time where teams do end up getting a win and it's looking fine and everything's going great, and then you get into the next game and then it's like all your momentum just went out the window because it does get reset game to game. The thing that we talk about a lot is the adjustments kind of moment to moment by a lot of those players, and then you're thinking, okay, well, then potentially you can maybe set into the next stage, kind of go into the next game, and we'll have a new plan. But then you realize in that minute between, the other team's also strategizing about the exact same thing. So I think it's huge for Concord to get hype about this, get confident again, but realize that it's going to have to be a new chess match every single game that you have to kind of adjust and tweak for.
I really appreciate it as well, because it has been a chess match. There's been so many decisions and unique ones made by Fisher. But to me, Concord University are actually reacting to them much, much better. I remember the first 15 seconds of game number 3 that we just witnessed, right? And there were 2 flip resets right away. Justice even had a double reset that didn't make its way to the net. Arguably, though, that was due to the miscommunication from Fisher. But still, it's a reaction that's necessary for Concord, saying, you can pull out these nifty plays. You succeeded in that endeavor in the first couple of games, but now we're keen to them. Now we know to expect just about everything. So if they really can cover all those bases, whether it's stylish mechanics or any other kind of team play, then I do see this being a more even-handed affair.
And I think that's the huge thing, is being able to kind of lock into a certain perspective and understand, like, it's the arrogance and confidence that kind of go hand in hand with playing well and getting into that rhythm is something that can be really pernicious for a lot of students in the CRL atmosphere, is when you have games where you're starting to cook a little bit on offense, you're getting forward a little bit. The temptation is just to keep doing that. And the problem is with that, I've seen a lot of students kind of get in those moments where they're saying, well, the defense on the other side is so good. We really need to be like hyper aggressive. We really need to keep this up because it worked previously. And then I see them give up kind of easy goals on counters where they dive too aggressively in. Maybe they're locked too much into the read on the ball that they're not paying attention that the defender's half the distance to be able to close the gap. So I think that's the one thing I'm looking for out of Concord when we start this game. We've had to restart the lobby a little bit just to make sure everyone's on good ping. But now that it seems like we're back on in, Concord needs to focus on being able to stay confident, but not just overshooting all of their goals, because you're definitely going to get burned by Fisher if you're a little bit too greedy.
Got to take advantage of those moments that come, and moments are upon us. It's game number 4, where a win for Fisher College will bring them one away from their bid to CECC Texas. All this on the line. Can the momentum stay in favor of Concord as they are already battling away shots from Fisher?
That helps when they also get some boost steals. ET going to steal, and not only that, cut in front. Pancake patiently waiting on the sideline just to be able to collect potentially the next one, staying in front as well. Tasek and really all the Fisher Company just trying to struggle to get out. I suppose they'll just have to handle a casual little giveaway, I would say. Unfortunately, Stays not gonna fumble that right at the crucial moment. They will not go away with that empty-handed. False will eventually get some form of shot going, but again, it's a lot of the same, just a continuation and kind of a fierce battle in that midfield area.
Yeah, petering out, unfortunately, was the counter from Concord University as that midfield battle continues. They've got the clear over to the player on the sidewall, but then it was a heavy touch that just relinquished possession. Those connections can suit for good opportunities on target, but some of these shots still aren't hitting that target. Justice with a save on the follow-up from ET. Tasek, no boost, and just can't side flip over to the ball either. It's off the ceiling now for Pancake to get to, and we'll call it a fake for ET, who gets for the 50 on Justice. 1v1 though, 4 falls, he takes it high. Helix able to get in front.
Not able to get the second one. Tasek makes sure of that one. Problem is, he pays with absolutely no boost in the tank. A little bit of a team pinch, unfortunately. Actually going to go out to Justice. Tasek refueled. They're waiting for the dish off the back wall, and they're not able to calculate it on out. A lot of commotion on that back wall right at the crucial moment, so we will see yet another kind of awkward play coming through for Fisher. Eventually, they just kind of throw up their hands. They're going to just grab boost and try again later.
Again, with these, like, heavy singular clears out from Concord University, I don't think they're working out. Neither are the open nets, though, for Fisher College. Definitely difficult for Falls to get back in front of that ball, but still with a glaring opportunity right in front of your face, it's hard to see those go. And another opportunity will have went by. Justice flip reset. He's always good for at least one, and it takes 2 for Concord University to again see another away, crashing in the boards. More rebound from Fisher College, yet no goals.
And ET, they're backwards in goal. Fortunately for them, they knew that was well wide, and that's why they positioned on the near post to get this one. Pancake thinking about the middle pass, but Helix doesn't have anything in the boost tank. You can't say the same about Falls. That's a double tap from an angle. He's looking for the back post, maybe looking too hard. It's gonna go off the bar instead for Justice to be able to gather, keep it going. It feels like Fisher has been on this orange half for the past minute.
Feels like there's a magnet in front of the goal line as well for Concord, and that's the only reason that they've stayed in this territory is because this ball won't go in. 2 double taps from Falls. Just don't go between the uprights, and a couple flip reset tries from Justice end up dry as well, and so you start to wonder what needs to come together for this Fisher team to get the first goal. Pancake ends up getting a ball right in their lap, and that front flip from almost lands in. It ends up being Pancake that beats the final defender on the line for Fisher.
That's a tough one. Helix actually goes for the pre-flip, and Falls, to his credit, will respect it. The problem is he's not anticipating that one just to go right past him and then go right over his forehead as well. Pancake with a weak shot, but it doesn't need to be that strong when the net is wide open. Concord, after going through the fire and the flames for the better part of 3 minutes, pokes their head out. Now is in a position, so long as the defense holds, to maybe tie up this series, but that 90 seconds is going to feel like quite some distance.
Oh, and it could be so long extended if it's another possession that just lasts for eternity here for Fisher College. They're already putting Concord on the back foot. Hard strike meets a follow from Justice, and there it is. It's immediate, the response from Fisher.
That's a tough one, too, from Pancake. It's right in front of them, but with the 0 boost, they weren't entirely sure, I think, on the bounce that they wanted to take on that one. So that slight bit of hesitation is exactly what Fisher is waiting for. It's what they're preying on for that equalizer.
Tied up here, and Fisher College coming with that same force of a dragon to bring this back. Then maybe they can breathe down fire on Concord University. Tasek begins it with an air dribble that goes awry there for Concord. Just able to pick it up, and some of those encounters are a bit too close to call.
And it might get even worse, though. As I said, the combination play was coming, but in fact, it actually goes to the detriment of Fisher. Now here comes the counterattack from Concord. ET turning around with no boost, placed for a 50 for Helix to somewhat monitor, but ultimately it will be that clear out. Concord doesn't want to fully commit the resources, and frankly, I don't really blame them. They only got 40 seconds remaining.
Gonna be another overtime. I mixed in overtime and OT there.
Yes.
Exceptional work. There is, though, Helix able to get in front of that. Paul's just gonna clear this once again. By the tempo and the pace of this game, it does feel like overtime is looming unless ET double tap, not quite found. Backboard pass, sent away. Tasek up high here. Pancake Uses just about all the bit of boost they had just for that touch. Helix picks this up. Helix has been doing a great job as the front runner for this team of Concord. Flip reset, denied by Justice. And Pancake, you have a decision to maybe push on this. It's a pass to ET. It meets the line. Taysek kicks it out to the corner. Helix now to catch. What will the release be? It's not there quite yet. Flip reset to the ground, and Fisher, well, they send it away.
A little bit of a spooky moment there for Fisher. They were not 100% sure if Helix had that reset, so they were just sitting back and waiting for potentially inevitable ball to go over their head. Kind of like this one. Taysek taking too long to catch it, and they will not have any contact on it. Makes up for it with a 50 out of the midfield, but no one else. Falsinho has to come on through, maybe on the near post, but Pancake that much faster.
A little scared there for Concord. Didn't look like anyone would be there in time. What a redirect there from Helix. Just misses the mark. That would have been an exclamation mark to end this overtime.
And yeah, there's been some awkward touches from Concord from time to time, but when they've been in those situations on offense, more and more, they're actually looking a lot more clinical, a lot more decisive, and I think that's exactly what they're hoping for, to kind of click into later in the series. It's all for naught, though. If they're not careful on these defenses, you can't get the ball. How about get the man? Ball is just sent all the way packing. Taysek, though, making up for it. The double tap from the ceiling for the dub.
This is the play that ET wanted. First touch is near the car, but not near enough. It's a far enough distance for Taysek to catch and release on the second tap from the ceiling. Fisher College up 3-1.
I think a lot of players sometimes forget that the ceiling is very much a resource you can use, not just for team plays to knock it around a defense, but also for setting up the solo effort. Taysek getting the dub on his very first shot of the game. I suppose he made it count.
I did indeed. 100% shot right there for the goals of Taysek. Fantastic work. And that only goal that Concord University had was a moment where Falls was kind of left alone on the goal line trying to read a weird pre-flip. And it just feels like with Fisher College, as they have so much possession, so many shots, it's overwhelming. The opportunities, the numbers just stack. But for Concord University, it feels like they're few far in between.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest issue about playing in games like this is that some games you'll just have all the shots, and it feels frustrating because not a lot of them are going to go through. And Fisher, somewhat experienced at that time, they were able to muster 9 and scoring only 2, so you're just kind of knocking on the door. But, you know, that at least fills you with some confidence. It can be a bit more spooky when, yeah, as you mentioned, you're only getting the occasional look at the goal, which makes every single opportunity you do have, you have to absolutely nail it, which brought up my anxiety from the former games where Concord was getting those open looks and then going out the window. They still got the dub, but that's not always going to be as consistent. I will say they can't hang their heads yet. They did take that time out, so we're going to be taking a little bit of a break as everyone's kind of readying up and waiting for the next one. But I think it's important to talk it through because they can't be hanging their heads. These are still good games. They're so incredibly close. It just comes down to singular plays that might not go their way.
It's funny because that was another game where I feel like a 2-1 effort could have also been a 4-3 or a 5-4 if things really got ludicrous, sending it to overtime, because we had some shots that just hit the corner of the net. One from Fisher, and then again that redirect in overtime from Concord. So very, very just momentary chances for both teams to meet the back of the net that are just a miss. So maybe it does come down to that clinicality as we get into this next game. Folks, this is going to be game number 5. Match point here for Fisher College, the Navy team, to get that spot into CECC, Texas.
And Fisher, if we know anything about them, is that they know what is at stake in every competition because they tend to be going the distance in quite a lot of them, and that goes for every single one of their teams. It's a squad and school that loves to be able to spread the wealth, be able to get these players into rosters they feel like can succeed. And certainly, if you're into the grand finals of a LAN qualifying spot, then I think you're doing just fine. And now that they know that they're just so close, I wonder, is that going to be intimidating or is it just going to be that much more motivating?
It's got to fire you up as a competitor. It's got to make you motivated, get you on the right rhythm to make these moments work. It's Pancake, maybe trying to start one up. Justice there for the dunk. Helix leaves that for ET. ET more so bails out the team to clear, but all these clears are just being sent for more of a Fisher attack. Long ball there. Cut away by Pancake, and next is Justice. They have this long and deep offensive rotation that allow for more backboard touches, more takes from the half court, and more openings for Taysek.
being able to get that shot off again, this is something kind of reminiscent of what we saw out of Concord in a previous game. It requires like, all 3 players to really just knock on that backboard over and over, and eventually the defense is going to have to kind of just jump in place, allow for a wide open shot. So right in the first minute of a decisive game here, potentially for Fisher, they have a lead. So now it's about ramping up the pressure and really putting it beyond any reach, or whether or not they're just going to be able to try to lock it down and just play not to lose.
I'll tell you what, Tassek's locking in. I mean, he was a difference maker in overtime, and now with the first goal here, so each shot appears to be magic, at least in the recent history of this series. ET up the backboard, just couldn't find a teammate. Pancake still able to catch this and get a second touch, but without boost, it's going to be tough to contend against Tasek in the corner. We'll get a follow-up there as Falls perfectly positioned to take the dump off there. And remaining is no more boost to get the pass out. ET trying to work a long ball to the other side. Tasek saves away.
Tasek is also going to get a somewhat weak clear to the sidewall, but it does well enough to be able to buy time. Now all Fisher back and with boost. ET can't say the same with 0 boost. One more effort, deflection into the middle. Helix goes for a bump. I don't know if he'd be better off staying for a shot, but either way, still not done for Concord up until Pancake gets pancaked into the sidewall, just bullying from Falls.
Start to wonder if the timeout was to slow down the pace. We've got only 1 shot registered from either team as we reach that halfway mark of game number 5. Few chances here. Oh, but that's Falls just putting it right down. I was almost surprised by how much time he had on this play, Taco.
It's a tough one, too, because I'm surprised that clear went as far as it did. I don't believe that was a pinch. It was just a player kind of creeping up, and Justice just hit that one as hard as possible, just yeeting that one into the midfield. So, unfortunately, that is not going to feel good for Concord, particularly now that their job is twice as difficult, but now maybe you can start with just counterattacks. I don't think Fisher's going to be biting too hard on some of these, but you might have to get on something here. Pancake, another stellar save. He's been making them all series long.
Yeah, he's been bullied a lot in this game, but he's going to bully the balls away from the back line on that instance. It's right to say that Pancake has been a key player here for Concord University, but can they switch that over from defense to offense as Helix? No touch on the ball in the corner. Pancake again getting targeted on the bomb. CT just enough boost. Flip that ball away. Another touch in the corner. Releases it to the ceiling. Justice with a flip reset. Shot from Tasek. Knocked up the crossbar, but there's more coming from Fisher. ET has to get a touch here. No. It comes down on the hood of Helix instead. Their shot rains in here for Fisher College as they amp up the pressure.
I feel like I'm getting insight into Concord's mental right now. That was a ball straight down the middle, and yet it still yields a double commit, but maybe they can stay focused enough for this. Helix from the backboard to cut the lead.
To the defense, you say just have it. That is picture perfect from Helix. A bomb off the backboard right into the fender of the Fennec from Helix. Double tap. That is going to bring this lead cut in half.
Another reminder from Fisher. It can all slip away so easily. Speaking of the kickoff and the worst possible timing for momentum rears its head.
That is the yin and the yang of Rocket League. An unbelievable mechanical play, followed by a flub on the kickoff. Taking advantage of that moment is Fisher College as they extend their lead back to 2.
And I gotta say, that's something that, of course, Concord is gonna feel somewhat deflated on, but at the end of the day, they can still just lock on through, especially if they're focusing on player over the ball. I like that demo to maybe carve a path, but it would help if ET had literally anything in the tank, gets to play for a 50, and just simply does not go his way.
Minute 20. It's not time to panic quite yet. It is time to get those shots registered and those good chances materialized. Midfield touch from Tasek. Ups it up high, and all that time offered for yet another touch. Helix doesn't get a second here, setting his Fennec underside right towards the ball. And propel it towards the net. Falls instead. Double tap off the sidewall, sends this ball all the way across. ET and those seconds continuing to drain on the clock, but the clear pass out to ET leaves it at the backboard for a teammate. Maybe no, it's Falls next to send it away.
And Fisher getting better and better at patrolling that backboard, but more importantly, also recognizing the third player doesn't necessarily have to be rotating on that back post or being able to go back to goal. They just watch that midfield to cut out any infields or kind of awkward, untoward bounces. So nice to see from Fisher as they're slowly locking in because they know what's at stake. They're 30 seconds away from traveling to Arlington in a few weeks to compete on land. Tasek just trying to put it behind any doubt with Falzinho following it up. The reset, not going to quite grab it, but again, burning down a lot of time.
Seen so much aerial magic from Fisher College today, and that's what they're trying to do to keep this time in favor for them, but it all breaks loose here. Pancake, midfield, leaves it for ET to send it home.
Not over till it's over. 10 seconds and a dream. Let's just hope the kickoff is not going to backfire again.
There it is from Tasek, doesn't get the advantage. Felix has a path to victory here with the ball. Set off the backboard. ET gets right on top of it and falls. Wants to send it to the ground and continue to control the ball with a clear like that. They should have the win secured. The bid to the CECC Texas as well. Secured. That's Fisher Navy going to Texas.
And it's a stylish way as well. Falls with the double tap off the keep up and dribble just to be able to put a cherry on top of this Sunday. Fisher going to be filled by it. CECC Texas land berth for the Navy squad, and so well earned. I got to say, hats off to Concord. They could not pull off the back-to-back victories, but getting back to the grand final in such a steep year in terms of the competition within CRL is no small feat.
Not at all. Not at all. So many leagues to qualify here for CECC. And yeah, in the ECAC tournament here, both teams really shined. Great wins on their paths here. And as you said, Concord University, incredible fight to get here and then contend against Fisher College. We had 2 overtimes. Even obviously a win there for Concord and a lot of close calls. This last game was just about a 1-point game if you don't have that late goal from Falls. So, making this series really unpredictable was a great work from Concord University. But Taco, as death and taxes are infinite in life, as are Fisher going to a land, it feels like I'm sure the Navy team is stoked to get this win.
Yeah, and for Fisher, I mean, this is really what the expectation is. This is a collegiate program that has recruited the talent from across the nation, even abroad, at times to be able to basically just put themselves on land to make sure they are putting forth the best possible teams. And I have to say the depth is impressive considering there's plenty of times where teams will try to recruit multiple squads, but typically it's like this is very much our top tier squad, and this is like a bunch of people we also found, but clearly Fisher has the quality to be able to put out multiple different teams of exceptional quality, and I think this is no exception. You can see the teamwork. This is definitely just not a pickup squad. There's a lot of chemistry there that works really, really well considering Concord is also a squad of multiple seasons now playing together, so that chemistry is no small feat to be able to overcome.
Not whatsoever, yeah. You look at this roster and you've got just 5 incredible players on the Navy team. Even someone like Kevin who has been to a CECC land before. So these are players that know the ropes, but also know how to work in rhythm with any player that they've got on their unit. So I couldn't agree more. With the stakes at hand, you really can't just show up to a game and play with whoever as if it is a ranked game. You've got to make sure you've got a game plan forward, especially when you have moments where Concord University, they're bringing this so close. Call a timeout, have a game plan forward. You've got to have the antidote for something like that. So it's really impressive to see from Fisher. And I know, Taco, you'll be super interested about CECC's that's happening in Texas. That's nearly in your backyard from what I know. So how about another team added to the list? What do you make of all those Rocket League teams going to Texas?
I mean, the biggest thing is that CCC is like pretty much, if you guys think about the CRL scene, I mean, typically we always say, all right, well, it's the CRL season, then we have like all these other leagues with kind of contemporary circuits, but this is definitively the national championship for all of Collegiate Rocket League. And NACE has their championship coming up here, but this is where you see the multi-team land coming together, multiple thousands of dollars to be able to be fun for within the prize pool. So clearly, I would say this is kind of the premier league that is finally trying to come together, bring all these teams and leagues to kind of coordinate. We're also going to have the NECC Grand Finals, I believe, also at the CECC Finals. So you'll be having a lot of good quality teams. So if a team can make it to this isn't just like, oh, you won 3 rounds in a qual and you're in. No, these teams have had to fight through entire seasons just to be able to carve out one singular spot in this last competition.
Well, we're going to hear more about what that fight was like to get here, specifically Tasek with an interview from this Fisher team. We've got a quick break to sort out the details, but we'll be right back with that interview. Welcome on back, everybody. We just got to witness the Fisher Navy team taking it over Concord Maroon in that best of 7 to get their bid to the CECC in Texas. Awesome matchup, and to talk to us about it all is Tasek from the Fisher team. Tasek, congratulations on the win, the land bid. Great to have you on cam. How's the win feel?
And I'm pretty excited. So it's going to be my second rodeo here in Texas. But I'm also more excited that my teammates get to be here this time. So Justice and False, or Justice and Eric, both of their first names. But I don't know. I'm excited to go. It's always a good time here with Esports U, and I think that we did a good job today.
Yeah, you guys did
So
do a great job, and tastes like you in particular seemed to do an even better job as the series went
thank you.
on. I remember that overtime winner was like your first shot in the entire game, and then in the last game, you had the first goal almost immediately. Did you feel like you were kind of ramping up in this series? It got better and better, or was that just kind of the ebb and flow of how it went?
I definitely think that I did get better and better. As in, I think it was game one I played Fennec, and then every other game I played Octane, and just the Octane was just doing its thing today, you know. So it's just one of those days. But I don't know, it felt good. I think it was a ceiling double for one of the shots, so that felt good. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I know I was there in CC Texas when you did come to the land, but you did have to kind of leave behind some of your teammates. You had to kind of get some last minute subs. So you mentioned you have this team forward, and a huge part of playing on land is being able to kind of handle those pressure moments. And I want to kind of pick your brain. How did your team kind of handle those moments where you first two games going super solid, everything's fine, and then Concord starts to actually bring it really close, bringing you guys to OT? What was the comms environment like in that moment?
Yeah. So I mean, it's one of those games, right, where it's like 'cause you feel comfortable. Right, it's the first two games. The first game of the series always is like you just feel the other team out, no matter what team you are, see what's going on. Game two is confident, and then it's just it hits you. It's like whoa, we were playing pretty well, like you say, right, we thought we were playing pretty well, but you get stopped, and when you get stopped, it's we did reevaluate like what we think we should be doing better, but for the most part, it was just I think it was striking. Like I think we were not taking advantage of what we definitely could have been taking advantage. But I think once we really just like took deep breaths and locked in, I guess that's what's up. But no, I think that answers the question.
Yeah, I definitely feel like
Uh,
it does. You guys regained your composure and just fired away later in the series. I'm interested in taste that because, especially when you do go to land, I'm really curious about who do you think on the team does the best job at kind of like reining everybody in, talking through your adaptations and your plan forward. Is there someone that's leading those comms on the team?
mm, I don't know. I would say definitely False has the charisma to him that just makes you like want to have fun when you play as well. So, but otherwise, like we're all pretty mellow. We're pretty just friendly to each other. So I think that's a benefit for us. Like we're all confident in each other's skill and in how to treat Rocket League. So I think that's a strong suit that we have.
Yeah, I love that.
So
Yeah, it's
yeah.
so nice to see, especially being all smiles. Obviously, you get that land bid, so we'll let you get back to your team and be able to celebrate. But we're going to give you a chance. Any shout outs you want to give before we let you enjoy the rest of your evening?
Shout out Kevin. Kevin from Fisher College. He knows why, but he deserves it. So we love you, Kevin. Let's go.
Yes.
But yeah.
Beautiful. Love the shout out. Shout out, Kevin. Thank you,
Let's go,
Tasek,
Kevin.
for not only the interview, but also the wonderful series that we got to witness there.
All
And
right.
good luck in Texas.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me.
You bet. All right, Taka, that's it for our ECAC finals. And I actually loved hearing that from Tasek. They seem like he's talked about it. It's a mellow group, but it's a strength that they all can kind of like get composed together very easily. They're shouting out Kevin, who's also on the team. Seems like everyone gets along really well.
Yeah, and it's nice to be able to see that appreciative nature because ultimately, having a lot of esports teams, especially at that higher level, when you are one of those teams that competes in absolutely everything, there's kind of casual clubs sometimes, and there's some like esports program with like some wishy-washy moments maybe, or maybe it's like kind of on the students to still kind of run a lot of it. But I mean, Fisher, there's a lot of leagues they have to enter. They have a lot of teams to manage. So typically, when players kind of step up and help kind of smooth that down, make sure everyone's on time, kind of as a team manager, as a student, you maybe don't have to do that, but I do like to see the appreciation for both teammates and the managerial roles. So something that is lovely to hear. Tasek, good dude, and I'm excited that this time he actually has his full roster showing up on LAN.
Really, really cool. Really looking forward to seeing that team on land as well so soon. And Folks, the stakes are just as high for more of the coverage today. This is kind of it here from Taco and I, but we've got TTL and Twin Salty taking us through the Overwatch ECAC finals. That's more Fisher and the Fisher Freaks versus the Illinois Wesleyan team. So, folks, we'll see you over there for that matchup. For today, that's it from us. Again, Fisher taking the win over Concord in the ECAC finals. Folks, see you next time.
Fisher College has played Rocket League already this evening. Now their Overwatch team has a chance to send themselves to Texas once more. I'm timed light. That right there is Twin Salty. We've gone for a little bit of matching. I've gone for the stripes, however. You found Waldo, by the way. Into our ECAC Grand Finals. And this Grand Final has a qualification spot to CECC Texas. It's the Fisher College Freaks taking on Illinois Wesleyan University. And in a fairly big David versus Goliath matchup in front of us, Jesse, this is a scary subject for Illinois Wesleyan.
Yes, it's like they technically enter as the higher seed. So they did actually get first map pick. But Fisher Freaks are the number 6 team in the country in the latest OCA rankings. That is an insane margin for them, considering they are technically, if you want to be like technical here, the B team for Fisher. Like, that is ridiculous for this team to be number 6. So, yeah, in this best of 7, it will be Illinois Wesleyan, who are the underdogs. But I'm not putting them out of the way because it is literally patch yesterday that hit, which changed a bunch of things on tank, changed a few other things on support as well. And even though, yes, we have a new hero to the game, they are not available tonight, Dan.
Which is honestly a good thing, because I have not played enough Overwatch in the last 24 hours to completely understand how that meta would work. So time to go play quick play after this instead of time to lay. The other question into this game, Jesse, is how does Illinois Wesleyan really match up against the Fisher Freaks? Because, yeah, Illinois Wesleyan coming out as the higher seed. Technically, we'll get into that in a little bit. They have certainly a good opportunity into this grand final, but we've got a best of 7 in front of us against a top 10 team, according to a lot of very knowledgeable people in the Overwatch scene, including yourself. And this is not looking great for Illinois Wesleyan.
It is a tough matchup. Let's be real. It is a tough match for Illinois Wesleyan. These teams did not meet in the regular season. They were in separate groups during regular season play, hence why I believe Illinois Wesleyan went undefeated. I think Fisher either went undefeated or lost a game, hence why I think they were just under for seeding. But this is going to be, yes, a hard matchup for Illinois Wesleyan. If they are going to win this best of 7, I think they need to stick, at least initially, to the Orisa comps that have been very meta as of late. Try and run these death balls. Make sure that you are trying to keep Kazuryu alive as much as you can, because they are going to get focused down heavy by the Freaks. As well, you just need to make sure you are on the same page no matter what. Because Fisher, especially this team, love to pick apart your stragglers.
Yeah, they like to target focus whoever they can, Squishy's included in that conversation. And already all the damage being put out. I like the composition for Illinois Wesleyan. The one problem is they don't have enough healing output to really deal with the damage output of the Fisher Freaks. We brought this up just last weekend when we covered a different qualification game for the CECC finals in Texas. It is you need more healing output, especially up against a very deadly team like Fisher, and Baptiste very much helps with that.
Baptiste is a massive win here, and yes, you can run the Kiriko as well. It depends on what kind of style you were wanting to run. If you want to play quick, then yes, the Kiriko is a great advantage. But so far, Fisher Freaks, they set a great tempo early. Already, Tracer is doing a great job on the Tracer roll. Shut down Wavy early. And you see EXO can't peek out for more than a second before going critical.
EXO needs to be very cautious when out in the open. Like, that second straight spear lands. This one a little less lethal, but still impactful. Unread, however, is the first one to go down in this engagement. Immortality Field used fairly early as well. Illinois Wesleyan making very good strides. The problem is not all that many lethal pickups, and with that amplification matrix going down, and Wavy falling just the same, yes, Illinois Wesleyan found an opening pick and a heck of a lot of damage, but not all that much of it was consequential, and more importantly, they're not following up on the damage they picked up prior. Amplification Matrix popped early for Skier means they won't have that same output later on to contend with the Kitsune Rush, but a backline play of a Deadeye finds one onto Mookie, looking for a second will be denied by Puppycat. Nice aiming on that Kiriko, but a trade of Terra Surges will be fairly inconsequential in the grand scheme of things, as supports will fall, so too will Avani, and finally it seems like Illinois Wesleyan have something consequential to go in their favor.
It took so long to flip it, but hey, both teams were committing the ult, and having that protection Suzu did actually coming out big for Illinois Wesleyan, and the big thing was they kept oh my god, I'm saying this so bad already, Kuzuriru alive, right? That is what they need to do. Keep your tank alive, especially the Orisa. They get focused down so hard in this meta, and especially with Mad Max on the other side on the Cassidy, yes, it's a lot more frontline pressure against your Orisa, but you have that range advantage with EXO on the Soj.
It's a Kuzu Ryu. Like
Kuzu Ryu.
former Dodgers pitcher, if anybody's curious. EXO already the opening onto Ivani. Again, the tank falling in fairly short fashion for Fisher. I believe Skier tried to throw out their Immortality Field, and Ivani was waiting for it, so thus had a false sense of security, and inevitably died. Will the Lucio be caught by a car? Yes. Yes, they will. Don't walk out into traffic, folks. It's fairly lethal as exhilarated there by the Lucio.
If living in Phoenix for the last 4 years has taught me anything, watch out for the cars. Like that's, you know, yeah, they do exist, and we don't want you to be in a box later on. It's already Tracer there. Yeah, a little deep in the back lines, and they will get taken out. Navani, again, getting forced early, has to pop gold.
Yeah, and this is a lot of cooldowns being forced by Illinois Wesleyan. Very well executed in her early stages on this front. Sound barrier use, Ivani only catches a negligible part of it. Good Immortality Field, but the problem is it's in the middle of so many pieces of utility, especially with that overclock available. It does damage. It's followed up on by the Terra Surge of Kuzu Ryu and Illinois Wesleyan final fight territory.
Final fight territory. Wavy will try and push up just to force a little bit of extra pressure. And they will actually get Skier. They fall.
That's
and
it.
that might be the end of the round for Fisher Freaks if they can't get a touch.
I mean, even if they can get a touch, this is a very difficult position to be in. All the blinks available, but will they even get onto the point? No. No, they will not. EXO will hit the headshot required, or close enough to it. Already Tracer, who better not swap from Tracer, I'm going to get very confused, will die. And Illinois Wesleyan strike first. Maybe we were wrong on our introduction, Jesse. I love being wrong. It's so much fun when it means the underdog's winning.
It is definitely a little bit of a fun little twist into this series because, like, admittedly, we were talking about in the green room, Fisher Freaks did enter this as the favorite. Like, very clearly, we're the favorite. Illinois Wesleyan has been kind of on the outside looking in of the top 20 for Okra for a while. Fisher Freaks have been a consistent, you know, anywhere from like 5th to 10th the entire year. So it's not like it's out of the question, though, for Illinois Wesleyan. Hey, maybe this is just the meta that they feel great on. They do force Fisher. They're going to do the full mirror now. Skier onto the Kiriko and Mad Max over to the Soch.
I'm not gonna lie, I like the BAP, but the Immortality Fields were just a little late or early. Not really on time. It's kind of like the Goldilocks of abilities. Not just right, and that was the problem for Fisher Freaks maybe in that first round. A couple different problems, maybe 2 fights, 1.5 fights the difference. Either way, there was very much a difference, and Illinois Wesleyan took full advantage of it. 1-0 to the underdogs early, but by no means is that an early indicator of how the full series may go. That's only the first point of the first map of a best-of-7 series. This is only the second best-of-7 both of these teams will play all season, not including CECC should they make it there. Fisher Freaks, by the way, have just casually capped, and then EXO, as soon as they do, just walks in, finds one. Ivani with a counter will spear down their counterpart, and there's Mad Max, Fury roading his way all the way through this backline as Fisher seems to be on the forefront, and already Tracer will yet again find a melee kill, make it 1.5.
Yeah, might as well put an asterisk next to the 2 on that one. Already Tracer being a menace in the backline so far for the Fisher Freaks, and that's very similar to how the first fight of Last Point went over on City Center. And over here on Garden, it's going to be a lot of the same issues. You're going to be trapped in this choke point. If you can't put pressure on that backline, it's going to be extremely tough to move on in.
The problem is, if you want to go for this low ground, sure, you get onto the point, but if one person drops and just gets focused by those supports, it can very much be sustainable, especially now that Ivani's building up the Terra Surge. We'll say, for the sake of argument, they have it, as they're at 98%, and it's close enough for government work. Sound barrier on both sides. Mookie very likely the Ajax there. Luckily, nobody was looking in their general direction. Damage done on the Mad Max, who's focused down, targeted out of position. A great swift step out of position, though, leaves Ivani with absolutely thin air on their Terra Surge, and a great melee from Wavy, make it a second. What a play in the backline! And the recall, a very easy second to retrieve. Nearly flawless fight, and a team kill, at least close enough to it. Fisher Freaks will finally lose control at 69%. Nice.
Doesn't that feel a little familiar than how City Center began over there? As Skier will actually swap. They will go over to the Baptiste. So maybe not feeling the Kiriko as much as we thought they potentially would going into the series. But they did exactly what they needed to do. Hey, put some pressure on that back line. They're able to find a pick early, and they move from that. As long as you can keep an eye on already Tracer, as they're already lurking, then you can set yourself up to success.
Clock on the top. It's very dangerous, and EXO ends up popping theirs late and wins the fight. Say goodbye to Mad Max. Absolutely dusted on the high ground. Wavy finds another, and it's just been a dominant feat for Illinois Wesleyan after the first 3 fights. It's like they need to heat things up. It's like turning on the oven, but you're like, wait, I can't cook just yet. I need to wait a little bit.
I will say, to be a little critical, I don't know if I agree with the Terra Surge there from Kuzuryu. I think that was maybe that was an impulse one, potentially. They're going to be missing that going into the next fight, but it's not like Fisher have a lot to work with. They will have their Terra Surge Pulse Bomb combo. That's really about it. Unred still a solid 55% to their sound barrier. Right? So, Wavy!
Oh, there's the Immortality Field. Skier swaps to the hero at nearly the perfect time and will at least counter out one piece of utility. It's already Tracer to go down, but more importantly, TS1 Fan is gone in much earlier fashion. We'll get to push maybe down the line, where we see TS1, the person they're named after, later on in this series. Wavy will go down as well. Fisher Freak's fairly comfortable in that fight, but it's one fight on either direction now.
And they didn't have to use an ultimate either, Dan. Like, that was the perfect fight for them. And even though, yes, you get pulse bombed early, you have to use lamp early, you lose one, you actually take playing in that corner to your advantage, and you're able to isolate the front line. So now Wesleyan, they're going to have to try and go over here yet again, and as the advantage flips over, they got to make sure they fight fast and get that early pick.
It is very much an advantage for Fisher Freaks. They use their only ultimate very early. Sound Barrier about to be online for Mookie, but they need to have it sooner rather than later as it's popped very quickly for Fisher Freaks. Overtime is a guarantee, but how consequential that becomes is still very much in the air. Terra Surge will catch absolutely nothing, but with the Sound Barrier expended and gold just the same for the lone Orisa, she gets stuck and just absolutely melted by a very cohesive focus fire of the Fisher Freaks. No second overtime will be locked in, and Illinois Wesleyan, they bleed as well. We're headed to a third on Oasis.
We'll head over to the third round here on Oasis and Fisher. Maybe, you know, you were talking about it. Maybe you were talking more for Wesleyan, but sometimes you just need a little bit of, you know, preheating in the oven to actually get going to full force, and maybe that's what it took for Fisher a few of these fights. That first round to really start getting into the groove. As we head over to University for the final round, Fisher, it seems to be like starting to settle in at least a little bit more to this comp. Kuzuriru is really getting focused. And the trouble for Illinois Wesleyan, a lot of these fights is they'll start moving forward, whether it be trying to push and deny Fisher space or trying to push into the space that Fisher already has. And they're getting burned down and having to use cooldowns so early in some of these fights where they don't actually have their win conditions for the mid-fight.
All I'm saying is that Baptiste is arguably the better pick for Fisher Freaks. They are nearly undefeated with a Baptiste pick, except for one fight on first point very early. It's been a little while since they've lost one of those fights, and it was fairly successful before that even so. Lavani goes very low, somehow doesn't go down, and relocks in gold as a spear was headed straight for their face. So they'll lock in more than just the aforementioned Gen Z slang term, and allow themselves to live much longer than they may have done so otherwise. Still very isolated, and an early Immortality Field, again forced out from Skier, means that this sustainability is heavily hindered, but is still fairly successful for the Freaks on the front line. Damage done, Exo down, and they're still looking for as much as they can find, while Illinois Wesleyan has to back away.
Illinois Wesleyan have to play at least a little safe. They tried to force some pressure onto Avani, not able to get it done, and now they're going to have to try and see if they can limit these staggers. Wavy already gone. Mad Max, well, they're just going to commit to this.
They're just walking in with an amplification matrix. Mookie's down. That's probably another fight. Make it 15 seconds.
What?
Kitsude rush down below. I have not seen a more ill-advised ultimate this calendar year. That includes the Terra Surge earlier, by the way. And Fisher Freaks, they are given a gift, and in so will probably take this win to Christmas.
That was a fight of all time. That was that was certainly a decision there from TS1 Fan. Is they're going to push right back into this. They're seeing that Skier actually did swap back over to the Kiriko, so they can't figure out what exactly they want to play, but they're actually going to try and commit heavy, and Kuzuriro just die.
Out in the open, already on about half HP. And yeah, you pop Terra Surge, you're a little bit less likely to take as much headshot damage because of the very weird hitboxes that Orisa walks into. Trust me, it's annoying trying to play Soldier against that. But on 80%, Fisher Freaks are more than comfortable, and they're in Final Fight territory again.
just because that first fight went so long, yeah, this is final fight territory. Mad Max will try and finish it off early with the overclock.
Oh, and it already finds one into EXO. The opponent not having the opportunity to pop the overclock of their own. Everybody will fall. It's a matter of time. It's not a matter of if, but rather one of when. And Illinois Wesleyan find absolutely thin air on the final point of Oasis. They get 100-0'd. And Fisher Freaks, they seem to have warmed up themselves. No late round mistakes third time around, as it does indeed become the charm. Fisher goes up 1-0.
1-0 over to Fisher, and it's not like Illinois Wesleyan didn't give him a fight. This is the second round of Wavy. This is actually one of the fights that they brought back, and Wavy was a huge reason for that success. It just seemed like they had this game plan going in Illinois Wesleyan, and honestly, it did work. Like, for most of City Center, it worked for a lot of Gardens. And then Fisher was like, oh, that's how they're playing this? Okay, cool. Let's make these small micro adjustments. And then over on University, it was freaks all day. So I think now if you're Illinois Wesleyan, you have to think, okay, are we still confident in this Arista comp? And I think, honestly, it doesn't look bad. Like, honestly, they've been, for a meta that's relatively new, I'd say we've probably had it for about like 2 weeks now, give or take. They're doing a decent job of it. Yeah, basically since the Magra nerfs. But what do they want to pick now for hybrid? Midtown's been a very weird pick that's been kind of popular as of late. But I wonder if that's the direction that they will be going, or if they're going to try maybe something new. Maybe go to Watchpoint or some, not even a Watchpoint, sorry, Pariso, to be like, all right, we want to go more that Winston dive that we've also seen on the other half of this meta.
I would really like to see not King's Row. That's
that's
all
fair.
I'd like to see.
That's
not
fair.
King's Row. I saw it enough. Saturday or whatever. It was okay, but it wasn't anything groundbreaking. What I would like to see is Midtown. I really like how this meta plays in Midtown, and I want to see how the new patch works on Midtown, albeit it's not all that consequential. It doesn't groundbreak too much in the general scheme of things, but it is still something to note. And those individual swaps that we may be seeing down the line are very much important. Now, one thing you're seeing above us is the side swap in real time. I want to bring that up for one main reason. Illinois Wesleyan gets map selection, but the Fisher Freaks, because of that, get side selection. They will choose defense, as told by our graphic above us, alone. So defense first for Fisher. What map would they choose defense first on? I've seen a lot of teams pick offense on King's Row, and a couple choose it on Midtown, but it's really a coin flip when it gets to anything other than King's Row.
I've seen Midtown and sometimes Pariso, they'll pick the defense first, especially when you're a team that feels very confident in what they're running. They will often elect to go the defense first because then they have a very clear win condition based on how they did on defense, which I think, especially if you're Fisher here, it's not a bad idea. I would personally do it myself as well if I was the coach over there for Fisher. For Illinois Wesleyan, I think we're still waiting on map, even though we have the side select. Okay, that one we talked about, but I don't mind it actually here for Illinois Wesleyan. Hollywood will be our destination. Dan looks like he just saw a ghost of his past self. And
I don't know the last time I casted to Hollywood. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I played it last week, but
it's got blacklisted a lot. Not even like blacklisted. It just seems like a lot of teams, if they want to run that kind of comp, are running Midtown more as of late, because it is a very similar feel on how the map kind of goes. Like, all right, you have this very awkward choke going into first point, and then second point, you have a lot of high ground to mess with, and then third point, it's way more enclosed, and it's a lot tighter of a corridor with some high ground. It's basically the same map, just Midtown is cleaner. It's in New York, so no, it's dirtier, but you want to talk about it that way.
Objectively, they're both like within, I'm going to say, the same country. There's no way Hollywood isn't inside of California, right? Like, but at the same time, you'd think, is it set elsewhere?
See, I don't know if I'd want to live in New York or California, so they're both kind of meh to me. But I do think this is at least a good idea for Illinois Wesleyan to be like, okay, they obviously feel pretty comfortable with this Arista comp. It's what they played the entire on Oasis. You might as well hedge your bets on a map that you've scrimmed and maybe don't think that Fisher have scrimmed quite a lot to try and get this series even.
No way. I cannot tell you the last time I saw Hollywood in a map pool for an event, much less Hollywood actually played inside of one. I've done collegiate, I've done high school, I've been on the broadcasting side of both of those, I've been in person for LANs, and we've done like CGL online stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen Hollywood in a little while. At least I haven't. I can't speak for you. But this is still a very shocking pick, and I think it's the correct decision. If you are the underdog, bring out the unknown. And here we go, into the unknown. Hollywood is on the cards. I love the selection, mainly because it's something new. If you want to go for something blue, something old, and something new, I think are the other three for wedding gifts, you're at the wrong place. But I'm here for Hollywood.
Oh, so you're really in the wrong place for that. Like, look at us. We're I don't think that's happening anytime soon in this call. You're probably better off than me though in that case. But going, by far. But no, this is actually a pretty interesting pick, and we keep saying that because again, you know, obviously we meme all the time like, oh my God, Kings Row, you know, stuff like that. But okay, we'll see how this goes as we see the jet fly by. Illinois Wesleyan showing that, hey, we did want to try something new actually on this. We're not going to run the Orisa early on. It will be this Winston dive. Obviously, I think the Widow is just the peak early here. They're going to go Soj. But the Winston variation of this comp with just the Winston instead of the Orisa, a little more death bally, a little more diving, slightly more high ground advantage. So I do like this here for Illinois Wesleyan. Try something new. Fisher will actually go the Sigma poke comp with Unread over on the Brig. So we typically used to see Brig Ana. Now we're just seeing the Brig BAP.
This is fully prepping for that counter dive. You are running the whip shot, you are running that accretion. This is great to deal a Winston because you can basically double stun or completely CC them out of position and still end up doing damage with some secondary DPS type abilities. I love this decision for Fisher Freaks, but at the same time it's still very viable for Illinois Wesleyan despite the opponents they're currently facing. And the backline play, they're still looking at that high ground on the right side of your screen, but that high ground on the left side makes things important. There's the whip shot, say goodbye to the Winston. It's perfectly controlled for the Fisher Freaks, but they do have to drop the high ground eventually. Kuzuryu is on fairly low HP and will go down because of it. Drastic difference in the playstyles here, and it seems to be going Fisher's way until they lose Ironclad, and then Exo goes down, so it's inconsequential.
Yeah, it won't mean anything late, but that one might mean something for the next fight. As it will be Skier who falls, and Atlas who is running around. Oh, Atlas will actually live. And by the way, Atlas is the tracer now for Fisher Freaks. It's always been Atlas. They just, they changed accounts for whatever reason. Don't ask us why. And same thing, Ironclad is Love, and Silly Goose is actually Puppy Cat from the last series. Oh, my goodness.
Okay. Yeah, that's Wavy gone. We're gonna slow things down a little bit again. It's Kuzuryu going down to the previous fight. Here it's Wavy. Luckily it's a Tracer, so they'll get back fairly quickly. And with still this high ground control, you can pop Kitsune Rush on high and low ground and play it for both positions. I would love to see that fairly soon. But they pop the rally and Exo is evaporated in the same process. You don't need a scientist for that one. It is absolute heat and annihilation from the back line of the Fisher Freaks. And Illinois Wesleyan forced back to spawn doors again.
Unread will be able to get out. And by the way, the whole name thing is actually an in-lobby bug that we saw the names change. So not different accounts. Very weird. Window pop though, and Ironclad, yeah, gotta take advantage of that real quick.
Through this amplification matrix, just take full advantage of it, I suppose. There's no way the Winston lives through that. No, they won't. That's a team kill. This is just absolute annihilation from Fisher. They lost first point on Oasis and we're like, yeah, not happening anymore. There's your one freebie.
Yeah, this is a little display there coming out from Ironclad, but Illinois Wesleyan, they haven't really had a lot going their way. Silly Goose will go over to the Ana, and they do find a pick early from Exo. This is the W key that they need, but Avani's going to shut it down.
Oh, and with that grab, you only catch one with this, so nothing all that important, but still forcing out the sound barrier, very notable. Unread going down the backline without their tank still to support and losing so much HP in the same process. Everybody's going down. That could be the cap in and of itself. The fortunate part of being on the attack is you really only have to win, confidently at least, one full fight and make sure people stay on the point. What a stick from Wavy! What in the world is that from the Tracer of Illinois Wesleyan? That guarantees the point cap. Nothing you can do if you're the Freaks.
That was disgusting. That was
so gross.
That was so gross. From Wavy. What a stick to end it off. As Illinois Wesleyan, granted, they probably wish they had more time to work with here, but it's still a winnable fight. Fisher will actually make some subs to what they're running as well. Skier will go over to the Ana, so this normal Ana break backline, with Avani as well going over to the Diva as an answer to Kuzuryu.
I like it. Oh, that's not good. So there goes maybe 15 seconds of your time bank already. And this makes things much more problematic for Illinois Wesleyan. When they're forced into these more dire fights, they have to expend a lot more. And last time we saw it work, but here, if they expend all that much into, not maybe last-minute fights, but last couple-minute fights, you dedicate way too much to what could already be a losing fight out of desperation, and you basically lost more than you can handle. Wavy gets accelerated into the backline of that side, and it loses them their life because of it. So Illinois Wesleyan, even with the nano put through into Kuzu, they can't do anything with it, and it's another story of everybody look at your watch and realize there's another 15 seconds.
Yeah, just like that, the time back that at least looked okay for Illinois Wesleyan. It's starting to look dire and dire as the nano will go on to Avani. They're just going to send it in, deny this push even more, and try and force the primal from Kuzuriru, and they do.
Force Primal and you get your mech back for virtually free. I love the way you're using these health packs. If you're on that brig, Rally's available as well should you need to use it. But an anti-lands, Kuzu can't do anything about it. And an overclock straight through nearly the entire front line of Fisher Freaks is going to be about as inconsequential overclocks get. Another backline attempt here for Kuzu, but with a lack of support, they can't do all that much with it. Mookie now has their sound barrier, and Silly Goose is about to have another nano. Good job from the Ana, especially as Atlas goes down.
Yeah, this is... Yeah, 1 minute left for Illinois Wesleyan. They have to get out. They need to get out of this fight now if they want a chance, but they're stuck, honestly, around this building. Fisher just trying to converge on them as, yeah, you can see it's Silly Goose playing for their life right now in that corner, and surprisingly enough, they do survive.
Not only do they survive, but they will end up walking away with a lot more support to assist with them. Nano will go down. There's no way the Brig lives through this. I say that as the Brig's living through this. A Nanoed Winston, inconsequential at that point, and Atlas ends up being resurrected and kills Silly Goose. But the Bionade doesn't find Avani in time, and the chaos continues. 30 seconds left, and both sides are really on this final fight.
And all of a sudden, like, this turns around. Whoa! Okay, Nano gonna pop on the overclock.
And the overclock popped before the Primal Rage was. That means the Primal is going to be much easier found towards that sustainability and making sure the rest of the team isn't focused down by the overclock. And Silly Goose ends up lining up 2 on the Kiriko. Damage personified on the support line. Who needs healing? We've got a battle Kiriko, and it's working as well. Diva going into the back line, but on 85% to the mech, they're going to go down before it's able to be popped, and they're going to die before they have the ability to get it back. They will complete second point, Illinois Wesleyan, and they'll stagger out of Sombra. Feels bad now.
Yeah, it's F in chat for the Sombras. Yeah, a lot of changes will be popping up now. On red, we'll go over to Lucio. Ski over to the Bappin. What?
It's hog time.
Let's
go. This is what we're looking for.
Wow.
Fisher
Okay,
Freaks want
Avani.
content. They want
They want the content, and they will pull out the hog here. As I think, I don't know, just a way to try and deal with this dive that's been coming in, but we'll see if it actually works.
On today's episode of Decisions of All Time, we have a Roadhog being played, and it's fairly impactful. Oh my goodness, a sniped hook finds Kuzuryu, and they will fall down immediately thereafter. I love Overwatch. It's so much fun.
And there's the swap already. Yep, Kuzuryu will go over to the team. He's like, I don't want to deal with that. Right? Like, that's just not fun.
That's the most understandable swap I think we've had all day. Great walk in the backline. Forces out Immortality Field early, and Avani just does not have enough healing to go through that one. There's 2 from the overclock. And Silly Goose dying is not going to mean all that much. With 15 seconds, we're in final fight. Silly Goose should get back in time.
Silly Goose should be able to get back, maybe just slightly late. Avani will go off of the hog now, only just for a short period of time. Now back over to the Arista, so the tank roulette continues. The Ana is sped back, and now overtime is triggered. Pulse bomb on the way for Wavy. Skier might build window, but they don't need it so far.
with Love going down so quickly, that means the opening is very much there for the Fisher Freaks. A lack of damage from distance, and Atlas has to do most of it. And Pulse Bomb trying to be prepped here, but a lack of blinks means you have to be very studious with it. It
What
gets
an
eaten by a
eat!
Javelin spin! He gets 180 eaten on the back line. How in the world do you predict that? Avani has eyes in the back of their head. And at the end of the day, that could be the most impactful part of this. If the Orisa goes down as early as that would have been, it probably ends the fight and therefore the map immediately. But the fact that they live an extra 10-15 seconds or so means that there's some sustainability available for the Fisher Freaks, and Avani's about to respawn. That means this is a completely different conversation with 5 meters left to go for Illinois Wesleyan. A full 5v5 gets established, and the Lucio bumps down just to C9 Illinois Wesleyan. It was bound to happen in a best-of-7 series, but I thought we had at least one more map. C9 is found early, and Hollywood gets its fair dose of drama.
Man, that's... I know, like, we're, like, jokingly, this is a stream of curses, right? We didn't need the curse of... as you and I both know, the curse of Necro to come back alive here with the C9.
Wait, hold up.
That's rough.
I pulled this from the closet. Can I get our producer to put us on camera?
Oh, okay. We're calling an audible here, folks. We'll see if our wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh my!
Yeah.
You still have it. That's
This
wonderful.
is from Overwatch League Grand Finals. I still have the one from last year too, but it's in
Okay.
my house, 12 hours away. So
Fair
we'll
enough.
go with this one.
Well,
we need to add
now
a
we
new
have.
tally.
We need to add an esports U tally of 1. That's rough. Honestly, considering how bad this map looked for Illinois Wesleyan with about a minute to go on first phase, it's not a bad time bank here for Illinois Wesleyan. I do think they made a lot of the adjustments. It was just the consistent back and forth, like, oh, we're making a swap. No, you're going to make a swap. And it just went back and forth. But the fact that for Illinois Wesleyan, they had Mad Max go out so early on the Diva, it ruined the entire game plan for Illinois Wesleyan.
So, Hog picked immediately. Fisher Freaks are like, if we're going to pick things up early, it's going to be on our own terms, and with some hilarity added to it. Silly Goose playing this Kiriko, again, a lack of healing output, but with a Diva on your team, you don't need all that much in comparison to maybe that Winston or the Sigma as we've been discussing prior. So, at least there's that level of sustainability, if required. Great hook again, but again, it's up against a Diva, so it's not going to mean all that much. They'll be able to DM their way through it, and Mad Max is going to find the help onto a free kill of Avani. This is looking good early for Illinois Wesleyan.
Yeah, nice little start. Great. It is against the Hog, and yep, there we go. The swap comes through, but they should do at least get some staggers here. No actual. Well, they're going to commit the pulse to it. You know what? I respect it. You take the trade. The BAP's gone. You can take a little more time.
Hey, with Wavy going down, this makes it a little bit easier to walk in if they want to try and go for it. I'd like for them to just send it on the Fisher Freak side, at least pick up a tick, and it seems like that's what they're going to do. The Diva being sent back, but in goes the Kitsune Rush. They waste no time trying for that reaggress on the Illinois Wesleyan side, and with the Tracer rejoining the conversation, it gives them more damage output. The healing still very much there with the Afudas through the Kitsune, and the fight at least forced off for a little bit.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, Silly Goose, we talked about it.
Hello.
Going aggro again on the Kiriko. Avani will fall, and that'll force Fisher Freaks away. Half the time gone, and so far, Fisher Freaks, nothing to really show for. And by the way, there might be some confusion with the names. It's something with streamer mode, because even like the Illinois Wesleyan tank changed names during half. So we apologize. We're going to call it by the current name, and we're gonna figure out the issue after this map.
Yeah, we'll try and work on that when the issue has some time to fix itself out. Hopefully, assuming overtime doesn't get locked in here, which I think is a mathematical impossibility. We should be able to work it out after this round. Backline pressure still very much there. Again, the attempted tick is forced off based off of just a single ultimate by Illinois Wesleyan. This is good ultimate rotations for their backline, and their front line's finding a lot more face-offs because of it. There's the overclock. Sound barrier on the opposing side, but Skier's going to run out of overheal very quickly. If they get forced down, how in the world does a bomb find 3 on the front line? Nobody has their sensors on, it seems. Spatial awareness, or a lack thereof, for Fisher Freaks. and with 75 seconds, they're down against the wire.
And yeah, it will be Atlas who is still stuck back here, and you gotta wonder how much of a focus do you put up. But yeah, Fisher Freaks, when you're in the back line, they're capping point.
One tick. They just gave that up for free while the backline's being enforced upon. And now Ironclad with the overclock is going to allow them to lock in a second tick and a second kill. That's basically first point ended. And honestly, just a mistake from Illinois Wesleyan. A questionable one at that, a questionable pulse bomb. That doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't even save you 10 seconds of the time bank because the cart's not going to move through those double doors in the first 10 seconds. So just save it for another fight.
Yeah, there's been a few little random pulse bombs during this game. That's for sure. But honestly, again, Fisher in a very similar spot to where Illinois Wesleyan was on their attack, to where it's a modest time bank. It's not a great time bank, but the key thing is they already have established the high ground control when the cart's already starting to get to the middle phase at this point.
This cart control as well is giving them so much space on the high ground because Fisher Freaks are allowing themselves to walk as far forward as really they please. Terra Surge on the high ground doesn't find all that much. It actually almost gets focused down for a kill. Luckily, or fortunately, I suppose, the Orisa gets out alive. But this high ground diversity now for Illinois Wesleyan really forces them out of any what would be safe positions should Fisher Freaks want to go for any of them. Mad Max gets forced out of their mech, and as Baby Diva will go down fairly quickly, the Buddy Blaster just isn't that good. And Skier finds a follow-up onto their Doppelganger. Final fight on the second phase looking very good for Fisher.
And this is what Illinois Wesleyan couldn't do on their attack, was get that back-to-back fight wins. And this is no, they can push on forward. They're trying to search for Mookie in the back. They're not going to be able to get them eventually. And Skier now is in a tough spot. They will maybe get out. Oh my god, they do.
Wow. This is just not fair. And this is like the final 5 meters. Will anybody touch? Yes, the Diva will. This time with the mech available, but they'll go down before they have the ability to get back into it. And already dire straits for Illinois Wesleyan. Another 90 seconds are about to go into the time bank at the top of your screen, and nobody's alive or able to do anything about it. 2 minutes and 50 seconds to complete Hollywood or just get almost all the way there. For Fisher, this is very scary.
It's a realistic possibility, honestly, for both sides. As Fisher, again, they just hold the doors close. They're like, no, we're not going to let you set up. They melt Mad Max as soon as they try and push on forward. They have to use the self-destruct early, and they don't get the remech, which was massive. That's when that fight was already done. Fisher had this high ground control, the denying Exo, from getting this high ground, as well as the rest of Illinois Wesleyan, but they still got to watch out for their backline.
The backline being walked in on. No Terra Surge, despite the fact that everybody seems to have their ultimates on the board, or at least they're playing like they do. Overclock for Ironclad, they're just walking in, and to enough success where it's forcing Illinois Wesleyan around the backside of the cart. That's a free fight, and another free 30 meters or so. This next fight's going to happen where it's final fight on both, or at least for Fisher Freaks.
One-win territory here for Fisher Freaks. Both sound barriers on lines, as well as both pulse bombs. The key condition here for Illinois Wesleyan is if Exo can get something going with this overclock, and there it is.
Suzu versus what was an Immortality field. Great pulse bomb, but it somehow misses everybody. Goalposting the back line. Good hindrance, but the problem is you don't follow up on it, and the damage just is not enough. Exo does take out Atlas, so a substantial bit of damage done on the front line, and a Terra Surge with very little charge to speak of. Somehow keeps Avani alive, but it's really not going to mean all that much if the rest of the team can't say the same, and they'll just have to back away. Maybe it saves them a few seconds, but it's really not going to change the course of the final minute.
No, we're setting up for one final fight. Illinois Wesleyan had to commit heavy. Fisher knew that. That's why they held on to the Kitsune Rush from Skier. This is a very late swap from Ironclad. They will go to the Bastion to try and make the front line of Illinois Wesleyan's life just a little bit more hard.
And inside, they're going to try and pop the Terra Surge at the same time. Great Pulse Bomb finds Mookie, and Wavy goes down via the grenade from the aforementioned swap to the Bastion. Terra Surge here for Mad Max. They could pop it should they choose to do so. And without that Suzu, that could be the perfect timing. Does it find anything? No, nothing lethal. Unread lives, and so too will Skier in the backline. Avani will stay alive more than so through it. There's very little to perturb this Fisher Freaks offense. They're down to the final 5 meters and change if they want to try and take and win Hollywood in regulation. 2 meters, 1 meter. There will be a touch. No second C9 to be found. Pulse Bomb misses, however, and that recall maybe not changing the outlook of this game, but certainly changing the damage output of Illinois Wesleyan. Terra Surge inside the bubble won't find the lethal damage, but the follow-up from Avani certainly will. 30 centimeters, not going to be all that much. This time, not all that much of a C9, just an outmatch in damage output. Fisher will walk away with map 2 and take both of the opening maps of this series.
Halfway to that CECC Texas qualification here in, it's crazy to think, just what, about 2 or so weeks? So a great performance so far from Fisher as Illinois Wesleyan. It's not like it is that large of a gap from what it feels like so far. Like, these maps and these rounds are going close. It just seems like Fisher has a very strong start on that map. Illinois Wesleyan maybe find their footing a little bit, and then Fisher Freaks, once they get the second phase of their attack, they're like, no, we're not losing this. Everybody forward, let's go, aggressive. They pull out the Bastion pick, which, like, it didn't end up making a huge difference, but I think having the confidence in your team is like, no, we can run this. Let's just throw it out there. And just have it work is phenomenal there for Fisher, and it's the reason why they're number 6 in the country right now. But it puts Illinois Wesleyan in a very tricky spot because when you're down 2-0, yes, and a best of 7, it's not as bad, but you still need to win 4 of the last, 5, maybe 6 maps. If we go to a tiebreaker, it can get a little bit more tricky.
Yeah, you're running out of mulligans on the Illinois Wesleyan side, and at this point, it's Fisher Freaks just casually walking away with the second map. Again, it got close, similar to Oasis, but I've said this on many broadcasts before, close only matters in horseshoes and hand grenades. You can win map 1, 2-1, and map 2, 3-2, but that score right there still says 2-0, regardless of whether you won it 2-0 and 3-0, or 5-1 and 4-4. I just made up numbers. You get the idea, though. And Fisher Freaks walking away with that second map makes this a much more difficult series to recover for Illinois Wesleyan. We're headed to a third map. This should be Flashpoint. As I look back at the
Escort.
Map types. Escort? I did not know.
I believe so.
Flashpoint is until 5th. So, Escort third.
Okay.
How do you feel about Escort?
I wonder if they're going to put like a Route 66 or something. Another
more American
maps.
Map. More American maps.
Mr. America. Mr.
America. Raw! Fun
Mr.
fact,
Waldo looking.
Illinois Wesleyan is fairly close to the actual Route 66. They're
that is very true.
An hour and 20 minutes north of it. I am 7 minutes from it right now.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, okay. Mister, I'm in the middle of America.
It wasn't that impactful. It's a small bragging right living on the western side of Illinois in the middle of virtually nowhere outside of St. Louis. Yeah. Here's some stats for you. This is Avani in Hollywood alone.
Oh my god.
Those are gross numbers. Are those legal? I feel like we should cap those at some point.
And as you can see, everything's swapping on top of the screen. It will be Fisher on the attack first for this map. So you can tell, like, okay, maybe we shouldn't let them attack first because they actually got a decent amount of momentum once they got going on their attack.
It's
gonna be. I don't know if I agree with that. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not sure if I agree with that. And my reasoning is, Fisher has already shown the Sigma comp.
Wait, correction.
But obviously,
just to clarify, he's referring to Circuit Royale, which is our third map. It was said in our ear, but it was not said out loud to the broadcast. Circuit Royale is map 3.
I do forget sometimes that the crazy voice going in my head can't be heard from everybody else. But yeah, Circuit Royale will be the third map. By the way, we love our producer, Leighton, observer Chris. Thank you so much. But like, Fisher already showed a version of the Sigma comp. You're killing me over here.
It wasn't that funny. But it was pretty funny.
But they already showed a version of the Sigma comp. Obviously, this might be more Bapzen rather than the. I think they went Brig Bap initially over on Hollywood. So you're banking on the fact that EXO can ball out, which granted, EXO's been keeping up somewhat in the DPS duel. I don't know if they've been winning it, but they've been getting close. So I do think, hey, you're hedging your bets that you can win the long-range game, and you can punish Avani enough on a hero that they've already shown to be very comfortable in.
So we also have an update on the name situation we were talking about earlier. Everybody has turned off streamer mode except for Winton. It is Winton Overwatch time on the wrong map.
Winton Overwatch, baby.
Winton Overwatch while they pick Sigma, which is ironic because this is the first time they were picking Sigma in this series, I believe. And yet it is while they're named Winton. Again, that is not their actual name. They have streamer mode on, which gives them like either a random assortment of names or a randomly assorted set of names from themselves. Either way, we'll call them something else.
It's Kuzuryu. It's still Kuzuryu from the first 2 maps of the series. We will try our best to correct in real time.
I'm gonna call them Winton at some point. I'm sorry.
Oh, bro, it's gonna happen.
Sombra in the backline, they've been detected, so that's why you see random orbs flying everywhere, but they don't know who they want to target. Maybe a Widow, you could try and focus on a BAP if you find the hack and the virus at the same time, or just look for somebody who's low HP courtesy of somebody in your front line and focus them down at the same time. It seems like they want to try and go for the Widow, and they do! What the world was that? It's a virus that lands alongside a railgun shot to the noggin, and EXO is absolutely obliterated. It seems like Kuzuryu is down as well. What in the world just happened to Fisher?
It looked like it was honestly a pretty winnable fight there for Illinois Wesleyan too, and then Kuzuryu dies. And as soon as that happens, all of a sudden that tank advantage you had is completely gone. Love will actually go to spawn to track where Kuzuryu is, but blocked the virus, and Love, ooh, gonna get out, but not gonna be able to help with this end of first phase fight.
They have to go find a health pack and then try and get involved at either a different angle or a different time. Makes things a little bit more problematic. 3 meters between us and second phase already. And Illinois Wesleyan really having troubles on the defensive side in yet another map. Seems like it was not an isolated incident to Hollywood alone. Love wants to go hunting for another safe haven, and they will be able to do so indeed. This is looking very good for Fisher, but they have yet to cap. That's another 15-20 seconds off the clock. So much healing output from the backline of Illinois Wesleyan, including now with the front decided.
And they still die!
Trank, and you die still because of that amplification matrix. That is an insane amount of damage output. Puppycat goes down as well, and we're in the second phase fairly quick.
Like, reminder, friends, when you're in Transcendence, you're not invincible. You are not invincible. You can still get burned down as, yeah, what a focus fire there. They had Discord on them, everything was out to Kuzuryu and Kuzuryu. Jeez, I'm gonna mess that up so much tonight, Dan. And honestly, it just, yeah, the focus fires are in this. Sombra, it's niche, but it's working.
They have the EMP available. They decide not to use it. And with the Dragon Strike,
I think they're waiting for
honestly
Flux.
Don't blame them. I would love to see that. Just a hack in the midair, or just focus down the EMP. It really comes down to whether they try and hold it to force out the EMP early, or if it goes down at the same time. It's down to timing alongside a few other things. Grab catches only one, but an Immortality Field will nullify most of that effect. In a walkthrough, as Kuzuryu wants to go in, will they find much with it? No, not with the EMP. Perfectly timed and prophesized by Twin Salty himself, and it's followed up on by the prophets themselves of Fisher Freaks, and they will almost certainly finish second phase off the back of it.
This Sombra is working perfectly for Fisher. It's just, even like having the knowledge, okay, they have EMP, you could tell Kuzuryu was like, do we want to use it? Do we want to use it? I think they're going to use it. And eventually he's like, all right, we just need to do something. We need to pop our ults. That's when they're like, all right, EMP's coming out now. And it's like, oh my goodness. As Love's like, no. I will like to take myself out. Thank you. So at least Illinois Wesleyan, they get somewhat of a stabilization. But considering there's over 4 minutes left on this clock, and this is their first fight win, really, of this map, there's a long ways to go.
Only took them 4 minutes. It's been a little while, let's put it that way. Hopefully it's not 4 minutes until their next fight win. That would be feasibly impossible. What is EXO standing on? I think they were stuck on like the door frame on the top side of a pixel issue. Didn't know that was a thing. Write that one down in the Overwatch bug-ish kind of tally. EXO, however, finds the opening onto Skier, so say goodbye to a Discord orb. Great amplification matrix on the high ground. Retakes full control of it, but the problem is it's a very temporary effect. By no means does that affect anything other than the high ground alone, and as soon as they go down to the low ground, everybody on the offense takes full advantage of their movement abilities and gets back out. And, oh my goodness, they follow up onto Wavy. They go 1 for 1 there. That's insane.
I think Illinois Wesleyan will eventually kind of stabilize. Like, Mookie is going to keep up. Yeah, Mookie's going to stabilize up front, but they still have to give up some space. They can't push this as far as they want to. They're going to have to give up a little bit as Wavy will now go back over to the Hanzo and now back over to the Tracer. Once Love, I think, went from Hanzo back over to Sombra. So fake outs and even more fake outs.
Illinois Wesleyan is my favorite mystery heroes collegiate Overwatch team. That's got to be said. They're very good at it, at least the swaps themselves. We'll see how impactful those swaps end up being. Transcendence again used, but we saw how ineffective it was last time out. Atlas in the middle of it catches that Zenyatta in the grab, and they should be able to find lethal damage off the back of it, but say goodbye to 2. Exo finds both with the overclock, wants more with it if they can find them, and low HP Avani in the middle of everything does not get enough healing to stay alive. 2.64 meters, but still, meters themselves is the individual difference. But 2.5 minutes for Fisher. You've got to expect to just build up ult and never to press Q, right?
That would be the thought, right? Because especially with how much Illinois Wesleyan did use there, they're gonna have window to work with during this fight. Which, granted, the window's so far been great, and Love is making sure that the C9 is available. But you could tell they're like, we're not doing it twice. It cannot happen twice, right? Right, guys? Right?
I mean, at this point, it would be more of a back cap than a C9.
True.
If you're playing the Sombra. I did it on Sombra when I was playing Route 66 2 weeks ago. It's one of my proudest moments. I got a back cap, and everybody's very upset about it. Amplification Matrix used in the middle of nearly everything. Low HP for Avani, but they end up getting healing through the Amplification Matrix because of the angles being played. But that singular ultimate doesn't really change the outlook of things. Great pulse bomb, but it misses somehow both players. Another goalpost effect will land Wavy onto absolutely nothing, and an even better timed recall allows him to get out of dodge with health still intact. And the delay alone should allow the rest of the team to win the fight. Exo finds 2 more, an absolutely lethal factor on the Sojourn, and a follow-up is there. Half of the aforementioned time bank now gone, and now a different conversation to be had. Also, great shots from Puppycat.
Yeah, honestly, we talked about it before this map started. EXO needed to step up in this map, especially with them being the hit scan on Circuit Royale. It is the most important role other than your Zen, which Puppycat, you just talked about it, has also been getting in the kill feed a decent amount, and you can tell the communication with the Discord orbs have been there. Fisher are now stuck in this awkward comp too, where they have the BAP and the Kiriko instead. So yes, you have the cleanses that you can use, but you don't have that Discord orb to really melt down Kuzuryu.
It doesn't seem like Kuzu will be able to build up grab in time, though. So the EMP can focus down somebody else, and it will indeed. But a Transcendence used not in time. Mookie did not have that Immortality field to survive, but a grab now being used in the backline. Puppycat is lifted, and a free shooting range available. Now as Atlas finds one of their own. How much more at the end of the day? That's the real question. Another overclock going to be used. This time it's Atlas's, and nobody can get themselves involved. Who can play for the touch, though? That's the real question. Down to 3 meters. Somebody should be able to touch, and they do. It's Lucio to do so. Tracer next on the cards. Who has to step up and basically sacrifice themselves to the Wolves? It's a Doomfist next. 6 seconds remaining. This is not an important time bank all that much, but the fact that they finish with time alone is still notable to say the least. Fisher Freaks complete Circuit Royale and give themselves a very definitive win condition up against an Illinois Wesleyan team that has fallen short a couple too many times in this series.
I will say, it is getting better here for Illinois Wesleyan, right? I think every map we're seeing them slightly more comfortable. Like, even them, yes, it took them, it's, you know, we talked about the preheating oven example. I think it's honestly perfect for this team because that map even, it's like, it took them till this third phase to really settle in and be like, oh, this is what they're trying to do with the Sombra? Cool. Love really got silenced the rest of third phase. Yes, at the very end, the EMP was great. It did help set up that fight, but for the first, 4 minutes of this third phase, they were pretty absent. So I think they're getting there here for Illinois Wesleyan. As Fisher Freaks, they will not run Skier on the Zen. They will actually bring out Skier on the Ilari, which I was wondering if more people were going to go this route sometimes. I do think it's a decent substitute for the Zen. It is more upfront damage and casual healing. Obviously, you don't have that Discord orb, but you have another aggressive ultimate and a team comp that can be very counteractive.
So, I know we don't have this asset, but I would love if Overwatch integrated stats to be selected via rounds or specific points. Because you mentioned it, Love was silenced third phase. I'd love to see the numbers individually. Atlas has done very well, however. It was basically a catalyst on their own to the success of Fisher, especially first and second, but much less third in the later stages. Illinois Wesleyan, keeping with the BAP Zen, they are also bringing in the Widow, as to is Love, but we'll probably see that swapped about as soon as first phase ends, if not before that, should it be unsuccessful for Fisher. And EXO is seen, they're like, absolutely not, I'm going back to my hole.
Yeah, it's like I choose life, you know, as the infamous Sloth said it well. They don't get that choice.
Nope. His name's Sid, by the way.
I know they was Sid. I'm trying to, boy.
I'm trying to cast an Overwatch game. I don't have time to remember the names of characters of Ice Age. That's the only one I remember. So, with Fisher only losing Skier there, it gives them so much time to slow things down, back away, give up maybe 5-10 meters of cart pressure, and then still end up winning most of the fight. Jump over, EXO shot at the ground. I don't think that's what they were aiming for. And at this point, they have to walk in and find some level of an opening. I would not be surprised if EXO, after finding Goggles, just decides to swap, or finding a wall hack, decides to swap.
It's like they're trying to find these kills, and they're getting some body shots, but they peek up for a second, and Atlas has a runaway shot, a drive-by of sorts. And very similar to Hollywood, they are struggling to get past through this first choke. Fisher Freaks have a solid foothold on this point of the map, and Avani is low though, but it ain't gonna matter. Yeah.
And you still have the healing pylon. You've actually got the Iliadri herself, and just so much damage output. Atlas told themselves, hey, who needs magnification? I have the overclock available itself. Problem is, now that you lose Avani, that's a lot of pressure and space given over, and maybe point pressure that could be given over for free. And with wall hacks now used for Love, EXO's not available to pop it on their own side because they went over a few seconds ago. Sunburst's gonna go through, finds two separate players, but will not be finished on because of the healing output of Puppycat. Good immortality field, but it won't be the consequential factor of this fight. Atlas still finds one in the process, and with a grab to live too, that may be able to change things. Nobody lives for Illinois Wesleyan, and somehow Fisher Freaks completely turn the tides with 3 players dead. That is insanity.
That is a gross comeback. As honestly, a lot of it was just Avani lifting him up, but Skier gets 2 kills in the back. Atlas goes massive with the overclock, finding a few picks as well. What a turnaround here it has been for Fisher in some of these fights that should not be winnable. You can see the ult popped here from EXO. The question is, do they actually get something done with this infra site as they see the Alari isolated? And they do find that opening pick, but they get traded. Okay.
You just wide swing somebody who was watching your every move from distance. It has been a fairly even trade. The one difference is that Kuzuryu has gone down in comparison to Avani still living, but they overextended the backline. What in the world are you doing? You have absolutely no extra support, with the supports themselves being dead. Discord was going to go on to Atlas from a distance, but they at least find some space. 35 seconds, by no means comparable to the time bank of Fisher Freaks, but Avani has to swap to the Doomfist because they want to try and find some level of sustainability. It is still the Widow comparison. Damage done on a Skier, but this time they live through it. You have to find an opening if you are Illinois Wesleyan. Last time it was found on a Skier. This time it has to be a similar, if not more notable support hero, but it will not be found as easily as it was the previous time out. 10 seconds remaining. The jump over for Love. This time now in the backline still finds the shot to EXO. Who needs a distance when you have magnification and point blank range? It'll be Atlas to find a second. Time will start to expire. Illinois Wesleyan are about to go on a sweep. Seems like janitorial class is indeed offered at Fisher College as they bring out the brooms to kick off this best of 7. It's 3-0 to kick off the ECAC Grand Finals.
What was that from Love? I respect it. It's like, no, I'm just going to go in. No care in the world. Gonna grapple it in. It's not the fact that, oh, you know, they did die. Yes, cool. But the fact that they land the shot on the opposing Widow. They take away that threat immediately. And the rest of Fisher can play so much more aggressively from that point on because they're not afraid of getting their head taken off when they try and cross that corner. Fisher Freaks, I said I was a little hesitant and a little worried about what that map could be for Illinois Wesleyan. I was not thinking it was going to be that kind of performance, but this on a map that is heavily defensive sided, Fisher cap it all the way running a comp that's maybe not, it's a variation of the most popular comp. And they come up with the Illari, like, yeah, we're just going to full hold this thing on corner. Like, that is a gorgeous hold from Fisher and a one map away from sending not their first, but their Fisher's second team to Texas for Overwatch.
This would be an insane way of sending a technical B team. They don't like to call it a B team, but we're going to call it a B team.
Their second, we'll say their second team.
Yeah, this is insane for Fisher Freaks. And the way they played the first point of the last round was just the I'm better than you playstyle. I'm going to ego chow every single fight I can possibly take. I will grapple up and over everybody, land point blank in front of your face, and still kill 2 people because I can. And that seems to be the general way this series has gone. Fisher Freaks saying, because I can, therefore I will. 3-0 through 3 maps, but our grand finals, it's a best of 7. A reverse sweep required of Illinois Wesleyan. Will they even start it, much less finish it? We'll find out when we come back. One final map selection for Illinois Wesleyan. They will choose our 4th map of play. Whether it is their final resting place in the ECAC Elite Finals is still yet to be determined. I'm time to light. That right there is Twin Salty. It's the Fisher Freaks up against Illinois Wesleyan University, and it is the Freaks just absolutely getting their freak on. I don't remember the exact lyrics of that song, but it's close enough. 3-0 through 3 maps.
Yeah, you're too young. It's fine. But that is, yeah, they are getting their freak on. Let's be real. Like, you saw the shot that Love hit and the shot they went for at the end of circuit. Like, they are no care in the world right now of how they are playing, and it's working perfectly for them. And going into the next map, we're going to talk a lot about Atlas. 34 elims, 15,000 damage, and 22 final blows. They're going to be another factor as we head into Esperanza, which can be a very long-range map at times. And if EXO does not silence Atlas, this might be the final resting place, like you said, for Wesleyan.
Now, I do want to bring up a stat for this, or a note for Atlas specifically. Circuit Royale was played for about 12 minutes. Almost the entirety of first round, including both re-ups of the time bank, that's 8 minutes total, plus the entirety of round 1 time bank for Illinois Wesleyan. Totals to 12 minutes. So you're looking at maybe 11.5k, 12k damage per 10 minutes. It's not statistically improbable, but it's still very notable when you're going against a team that is very good at Overwatch. And Illinois Wesleyan, well, yes, according to Okra, they're not in the top 20. I don't really care. They're still a very good team in the Overwatch collegiate scene, and yet it looks like they're a high school Overwatch team against Fisher on some occasions. They have very much put up a fight, especially back on Hollywood, most notably late stages of points 1 and 2 on Oasis, but on Circuit Royale, I think we were in Monaco, and they forgot their tickets to Europe.
I just think it was a whoops on map selection. I'm not going to lie. I just think it was a mistake on map selection because, again, we can see what they were going for. Like, hey, we're going to try and put our DPS in a great spot. They ran the meta comp of the Zen. It's just that Fisher played it perfectly. Like, Fisher played every angle perfectly. They always got the opening picks, and it was Fisher's lobby. Yeah. So going into Esperanza, yes, it's going to be tricky again. But this kind of goes more towards this game mode in general, goes more towards the death ball that they've tried a few times, and that's at least what they've had the most success in. So depending on, if it is, I'm assuming it'll be Trace or Sojourn again here for both sides. Maybe we see Love back on the summer, but it seemed like Illinois Wesleyan found an answer to that pretty late into that circuit series on their defense. I think it's honestly just going to be who plays faster, who gets the first pick, and who goes. And a lot of time it has been Fisher through Atlas. You got to wonder for Illinois Wesleyan, you got to find a way to stop him. You got to find a way, because if not, this may be the end of your ECAC run.
Yeah, and moving into Esperanza, I don't think it's the wrong decision in terms of map. New Queen Street would just be out of the question. I don't think Coliseo would go your way, period, end of story. So Esperanza is probably the next best decision. The problem is, not only is this still not a great decision, because you're playing the Fisher Freaks, not much is a great decision, but even if it is, you're moving into Flashpoint. Next, should you win it and even start the possibility of a reverse sweep where we start having that conversation, you still have to play them on, well, a coin flip of a map selection for them, because they would then get to choose what map it is, and you'd have to expect that they prep both of them because there's only 2 maps of Flashpoint. You have a 1 and 2 shot. Yeah. Everybody plays one or the other, and with their choice, they'd pick the one they are either more likely to win and more comfortable on, or the one they think you are more likely to be less comfortable on. We'll get down to that conversation, should it be required, however. We're not even sure if we're headed to Flashpoint. First, it is indeed push required. And with this one to move in, I'm concerned to say the least. This could end our broadcast fairly quickly, and I don't want to end things quickly, at least not this quickly. I'd like to at least see Flashpoint because I want to give them a shot on every map type.
It's like, I give them a chance here, because also Push is a very steamrolling map. Like, if you have a good fight or two early, you can just play, hey, we win a fight, we lose a fight. You can run that train the rest of the game, right? So if you get enough of a lead early, I'd say, especially for this map, if you can get tick and maybe get slightly around that corner, about like the 60 to 70 meter mark, then you really can display, all right, we're going to bounce back and forth. We can lose a fight, win a fight, lose a fight, win a fight. And that bot is just going to go back and forth, and you're going to have forward spawns active a majority of those fights that you lose if you can get to that point. The thing is, Illinois Wesleyan, yes, they're going to go the comp that we thought they were going to use. And, Kuzuryu's name is back. but they're gonna actually use the new Weaver buff that came in here to play Weaver with Avani as well, returning to Roadhog.
Okay, so theory crafting here. What I think is going to happen is Love's going to go for a backline. They're going to try and hack somebody. Avani's going to hook them, and then Skier's going to life grip Love back into the fight so everybody gets involved. That would be the greatest way of playing that composition ever. Or, better, Love dies and we may be able to go into a 4th or 5th map in this case. So, good start for Illinois Wesleyan. They will take advantage of TS1, who we saw earlier technically, but that was because of streamer names, so only a technicality.
Yeah, it's... Okay, this is the fight that Wesleyan needed. There's the life group. The only downside of the life group is does stop, take a breather, and that does hurt Avani actually there, maybe more than it helps. And this is the thing with Fisher. Yes, sometimes they're gonna come out with wacky stuff early, right? That's just how Fisher operates. It's how a lot of their teams play, because you know, especially in like OWCC, the early rounds, they get the clown around of it. Let's be real. A lot of the top teams do with the format. So this is not something that's super unfamiliar for them to maybe try something a little wacky, brand new into a patch. But this will allow Wesleyan. They will get Tick.
I was thinking to myself, are they going to give up Tick for that? And yes, they will. Already 53.5 and change meters given up, but you take out Wavy with a very well-placed Virus. Great hook. Gold's not going to save you from that one. Even a Suzu that is a few 2 seconds late. Sometimes it's the taunt that counts. This is not one of those times. Fisher Freaks will take back TS1.
They will take it back. Did Atlas leg out? Or are they good? They're good now. Okay. Weird. I don't know what that wall did to them, but that is obviously forward spawn still was active for Illinois Wesleyan. They can play this somewhat fast. They at least see a vinyl. Hey, no, you're not doing any of this flanky stuff. We've had to deal with it enough. We don't want to deal with it again.
It's a very odd decision. Avani will take the pedal platform up to the high ground, and then we'll just have a Tracer appear in front of their eyes. Good swift step out, no hook there to try and capture the Lucio, and Exo gets a very well-timed Suzu, only for an even better pulse bomb that finds 2 separate players. Good news is, TS1 has been kidnapped. Bad news is, it's been given over for nearly free. Great decision to pop that Kitsune Rush. Healing is still being done in the backline. A return pulse bomb, this one not nearly as successful. In fact, it finds absolutely nothing, and a hack Tracer is a dead Tracer nearly every day of the week, and twice on Sunday.
What? I will ask you about the twice on Sunday bit. Maybe later, right? Maybe if they make it to Championship Sunday in Texas, hey, maybe that's a possibility here. As they're 1 fight away from Tick, and that's the perfect start. Puppy Cat won't even make it to the fight.
No, and this is already Cat back. It should also be them finding a little bit more space past the actual checkpoint. So, more space to make things more dangerous. And if they were any more dangerous, I'd be seeing them probably walk into the back line. But they decide, this is a little bit too close of a game to do that shenaniganery. EMP available, and with the Tree of Life being put through, Overclock available, but an even better decision to try and pop that Terra Surge. In the process, a decision to use the Whole Hog. Decision of all time, certainly. That will only go up with the Kitsune Rush in the low ground to the Oasis 3rd point.
Are they swapping here? I wonder if they are. Because if they are, then it makes sense. No, they're not. Okay. You know what? I respect the play, considering how their day's been going. They decided to not use EMP there to cancel the Terra Surge.
I like the decision.
I do like the decision too. I think the fight was just too far gone for them to bring it back. Vani tries the early hook, not able to get it, and there's the EMP on 4.
And it just finds 2, probably a 3rd one. I don't think Kuzu's gonna live through this, even with the Suzu. They do end up getting a decent bit of healing, and Avani's on fairly low HP. They do luckily have that breather to live through some of it, but not infinitely, and they'll end up going down. Skier luckily has a second jump to get out of that damage output. Good Suzu again lands onto Kuzu Ryu, and it seems like they like the rhyming scheme and they like their tank alive. That should be good enough to keep them alive at the end of things. But it's a problem still where Illinois Wesleyan have retaken the lead, but only by a very negligible margin.
It's enough, though, where you can't play this bounce-back game now, to where if you just play around this archway, you don't need to get super aggressive, but you can if you find this pick. But no, what a grip to get Love out.
Not only that, but what a couple of shots from Unread to follow up on the damage being done, because Love would not have lived through that should they have been the one that needed to finish off that kill. Illinois Wesleyan will lose their forward spawn, but they decide to use Kitsune Rush a second time. Terra Surge was about to be used. Kuzu wanted to press Q. They don't get the opportunity to do so, and instead, they get hooked in as a life grip goes through to save out the Sombra in back-to-back fights. What a combination of plays of grabbing and absolutely CCing the ever-loving heck out of Illinois Wesleyan. They'll be forced back because of it.
The only positive for Wesleyan, you did waste a lot of time. You wasted a lot of time on the clock when you have the lead. The question is, can you keep it? Because it is only an 8-meter lead. You're going to have to get going pretty quick if you want to try and keep it. There, the bot activates forward progress, and they will fight early, but Cruiser Ryu is almost dead.
They live for a few seconds, but I don't think it's going to be forever. No, it will not. Fisher will not only win this fight, but they will take the lead. And with 4 minutes remaining, we're 60% of the way through Esperanza. Yes, very much a reasonable game for Illinois Wesleyan to bring back, but with the extra probably 20 meters that Fisher Freaks are going to get out of this, I'm very concerned for Illinois Wesleyan long term.
If Fisher win this next fight, I think the map and series is done, personally speaking. Especially with this map and the way this map type works. If Fisher wins this next map, it's a wrap. So Illinois Wesleyan need to win it, and they need to save Sound Barrier during this fight, if possible.
They've already got a backline, and they found Skier. That's a great start.
Yeah, that's big.
Mookie's going to live through things, even while being hacked. And with that attempt to be used for the Sound Barrier, it's not in the middle of the fight. It's countered out by Illinois Wesleyans. Yes, they use Sound Barrier, but it's also forced out by Fisher Freaks. They, again, dedicate Whole Hog to a fight that was already at a...
And what?
An EMP? What are ultimates this series? What are we doing here?
I thought, admittedly, Wesleyan were going to enter that fight using Overclock from EXO, use Sound Barrier if they needed it. They use Sound Barrier and they get out EMP, Whole Hog, Tree was used very early, and Sound Barrier. That is an insanely good trade for Illinois Wesleyan, and just the type of fight they need to at least give them a chance during the rest of this map with 2.5 minutes to go.
I just know the Illinois Wesleyan coach is thinking to themselves, somebody pinched me, I must be dreaming. There's no way they just did that and gave us a free extra fight on top of it. Because now Illinois Wesleyan pushes TS1 40+ meters in front on the opposing side of the map. Overclock's going to be used, and they hunt down Love! What a redirected shot. They want to go for a Lucio as well, and they'll end up punching them out of the fight. Seems like mixed martial arts and sniping go hand in hand. Illinois Wesleyan right back in the conversation.
They're right back in. Fisher Freaks, they do not have the fastest comp either. And yes, we do have, I believe, a lurker in the background right now. But they will be able to get eerily close to this checkpoint with 3 ultimates in hand. Fisher, nothing.
Watch the Terra Surge. Terra Surge alongside the possible Kitsune. They won't even need the Terra Surge. Who needs to press Q when one teammate already has? Atlas goes down. So too will a Sojourn of Love. At least they'll escape, but with HP, that's not going to change the outlook of this fight. 95 meters and now counting for Illinois Wesleyan. They have the lead and then some. It is probably 4 consecutive fights for Fisher Freaks now required. And Illinois Wesleyan, they understand that. They're just, I was going to say getting out, and then Wavy dies. So maybe not so.
And they do make that swap over to the Aggressor, so it's like, okay, we lock in, right? Like, that might have been the call. It's like, we need to lock in right now. We can't lose this, even though, yeah, they're going to catch Kuruzuru. Wow, I'm saying 3 times tonight I'm messing up. I apologize. Cruiser Ryu. And that will be, hey, at least, Cruiser Ryu will not actually get close spawn. So that is big. They're going to have to wait a little bit longer. But in reality, Illinois Wesleyan want this to be one fight because Love is getting very close to their ult. So is Atlas. On a red should be able to get it by the time this fight begins. They need to win it early from a pulse from Wavy or the combo with the Terra Surge. End it right away.
They want to make it a fight, but they have to make it a quick one. Even if they win this fight, you're still probably looking at a second one at the end of the day. Tree used early for Skier. We saw this before, but it was inconsequential last time. We'll see if that's the case again. Terra Surge again, still available for Kuzu, but on low HP, they don't have the availability to use it. And with that Sound Barrier not available, they will go down, but so too will Love and Exo. Fairly even trades, but with Fisher Freaks very much on the front side of things. And it seems like Illinois Wesleyan want to slow things down their own front. They have to slow this fight down and allow their tank to get back into the conversation. Sound Barrier very available and used because of it. Kitsune rushes well alongside the Terra Surge as it returns to the fight. Great decision from Puppycat to press Q as soon as humanly possible, and they still have that Terra Surge in the backline. Watch for the timing on Kuzuryu. They want to try and get that out as soon as humanly possible, or to find as many players as possible. They don't even have to. Love will be the final gauntlet, and not one that's difficult to pass. Overtime is only a formality. Illinois Wesleyan are on the board past just a single point in a map. We are headed to Flashpoint.
Flashpoint it is. Illinois Wesleyan, hey, in a reverse sweep, even in a best of 7, it's got to start somewhere, Dan. And it does start on Esperanza. Nice little turnaround from Illinois Wesleyan, and that is the best they have looked all night. And yes, Fisher was running definitely a whack comp to begin, but it's obviously one they've, at least maybe had some reps in, or at least a thought about it. But it was, hey, this Orisa comp, they've been playing it majority of the night, and it finally is starting to pay dividends. But the opposite side of the coin is Fisher now have map select advantage the rest of the way. So it is going to be, the ball is in Fisher's court still. They still need to win 1 map. Illinois Wesleyan still need to win 3 more. But hey, you at least deny the sweep. So a certain curse, I don't know if Clutch Key's in the chat, but a certain curse is gone. But also, they keep their chances alive. Hey, it's not over till it's over. We've seen that plenty of times this season. And this may just be another one if Illinois Wesleyan can keep up the momentum.
So there are benefits and there are a lack thereof for Illinois Wesleyan. The benefit is going into a 5th map, they've got a coin flip as to what map we're headed to. And on today's episode of Surprising Nobody, Suravasa is map 5. But the problem conversation in front of us, and moving past Suravasa, again, should we make it there, is not only does Fisher have the map selection advantage, but we are headed on to 3 more map types that they have already won in this series in chronological order. Escort will be a tiebreaker should it be required. I don't think it will be. But Control is next. We saw Fisher win that 2-1, and the later stages of it was fairly confident. And Hybrid is map 7, again, should it be required. But I'll remind you, the last time we saw Hybrid was with Fisher, I'm not going to say very much in front, but bar a couple team fights, they basically had that one under lock and key.
Yeah, it seems like once they get going, this Illinois Wesleyan team, they do find this sweet spot, right? So we're like, okay, look, we're actually like playing well, and we're having everything go the way they need to. So now going into Suravasa, yes, it is notoriously chaotic map, but it's one that everybody loves because it's not as broken as New Junk City. No offense. Wow. That is not a start you want, though.
So this is where you give up first cap and just say, hey, we've lost this. It's time to move on and maybe keep our lives a little bit worse intact. This is where you walk in and die. And it seems like Illinois Wesleyan, whether of their own volition or not, they have done so. Puppycat delayed the inevitable, found a couple of kills actually, so notable. But the problem is they still end up dying at the end of the day. So Illinois Wesleyan will give up first cap. But I have seen, in all fairness, teams that win first cap have a much worse time off after that, at least on this first point.
You at least you stall out the point, especially on Flashpoint. We've seen it more and more to where the teams that can at least stall out this first fight can at least guarantee 2 more fights. But that Rico being forced early, not ideal.
This is, again, forcing out so many cooldowns from Illinois Wesleyan. We saw this in maps 2 and 3, way too much out of Illinois Wesleyan. Good spear, forces out Suzu. Both sides force out Suzu, as a matter of fact. But it's one that's much more impactful in favor of Kuzuryu because of the HP they saved from the impact damage of the Javelin throw. And Avani will die off the back of it. Follow-up Javelin's good. Seems like Kuzuryu has a new hobby in track and field.
Definitely not what I had in high school, that's for sure, or college, for that matter. As Illinois Wesleyan, they're gonna try and find these staggers. Kuzuryu just can't find the last shot on a red. As now Fisher's actually hunting in the back for Wavy, not able to find him. But okay, winnable again. Very much Oasis vibes here from this series and from this map. As Kitsune Rush both online, Wavy will match the pulse bomb of Atlas shortly, and may just be again. Who can maybe force the gold and the ults here on the Orisas, because they're both close.
Kitsune's on both sides, everybody having that advantage. Good Suzu, good swift step as well from Skier. They expend their entire kit of utility, but they will have the rest of their team fall at the same point. They win the Doppelganger duel, but it's really not going to matter all that much when your tank is gone, your secondary DPS is gone as well. Love is on 1 HP, and Unread is somehow lucky to be alive. It seems like Love found a health pack, but that's not going to mean all that much. 96% Illinois Wesleyan. Well, yes, they don't cap first, and yeah, sure, it took them a little bit more time than they would have liked to find time to cap. They do so, and they don't give it up afterwards.
Yeah, that is exactly what they needed. Mookie will go back to make sure Puppy Cat is there. Fisher will just get to this point first. And they still do have that Terra Surge to work with the Pulse Bomb. Illinois Wesleyan don't. So it might be a slight difference maker. Expect Wesley maybe more aggressive Sound Barrier.
Also timing around Suzu's as well. Sound Barrier early for Illinois Wesleyan, return for Fisher Freaks, and the overclocks are pressed as well. Everybody wants to press Q, but that Terra Surge finds very little, and the Pulse Bomb wasn't even dedicated to that fight. Just now will the Flashpoint be unlocked, and Fisher Freaks have expended 3 ultimates before it even has time to do so. Decent Pulse Bomb, does damage, but nothing consequential, and now Wavy becomes the interrupting factor in the backline of Fisher Freaks. Damage onto Avani, but nothing to note. Kuzu in the process, by the way, ate the Pulse Bomb of Atlas, so that meant even less than Wavy's did, and everybody now has to focus on different players in the backline of each team, while Avani stays on nearly full AP, and Fisher Freaks cap first, plus 25%. Kuzureru are now on the Terra Surge if they need it. They decide to use it. It finds nothing because Avani had already fallen, and Fisher's now just down to a game of possibly delaying what will most likely be the inevitable. I say that, however, as EXO goes down, so too does Puppy Cat. Everybody's trading kills. It's a 2v2, now just down to Wavy. Can they at least find the Lucio? The answer seems to be no. The overclock, not going to be available for Love in this fight, and somehow Atlas wins the fight. It's 70% for Fisher, by the way.
Atlas is nuts. Let's just get that out there right now. Atlas,
True.
If Fisher does win this, is my MVP. I'm just gonna be very blunt. Turns that fight around with Unread just single-handedly between the two, and because of how long that first fight went, 92%. Do they even get a touch here? I think they should.
Yeah, they do. Okay, they get it with 97 on the clock, which is good enough. Decent damage onto Avani, forces out a fairly early Sound Barrier in the grand scheme of things, but with overtime wick ticking, it means Kuzu has to walk in and force out the Sound Barrier from their Lucio as well. The overtime wick ticking away, though, nobody touches in a 1-for-1 trade. And this second point has already gone Fisher's way. Anything after is just bonus and nearly for free. How much do they give up for it? The answer, literally nothing. Except for the ability to move between points. And even the next one's close as it possibly can be. Palace is where we're headed next.
Yeah, this is perfect for Fisher. They win the fight, they get staggers, and they can fully establish high ground control because of how late those staggers went. And like you pointed out, didn't have to use any ultimates during it either. So they have a full package of ultimates, at least outside of the supports. This is Fisher's fight to control, and there's the overclock early.
Suzu's used fairly well, though, and inside of this chaos, that Terra Surge doesn't do all that much. Mookie goes down, but so too does Avani. Even better Pulse Bomb. This time it doesn't get eaten by Kuzu, but instead, by pseudo effect, gets eaten and damage taken as well, not in the good way. Fisher Freaks, yes, they will cap, but it doesn't seem like they're going to be holding for all that long. Puppy Cat wins their doppelganger duel, and does Love live in the backline here? That's the real question. Yes.
Yeah, I don't blame Puppy Cat for being like, let's test the waters on this, right? But no, they will get stunned away, and now aggressive play from Fisher.
Oh no, it didn't go out. It wasn't deployed. Kitsune Rush basically gets Ajax, or as closest to the definition you can get while it's going on. Atlas finds 3 separate kills, just strengthening their bid for the MVP, and make it 4. You find 4 or 5 kills, and one of them's onto Puppy Cat while they're deploying Kitsune. It's insane. You're not supposed to be able to do that.
Chef's kiss. And that is why so many people, well, granted, even after, they usually do it after the animation goes through, they will Suzu themselves as soon as they're popping it. That tomorrow, Puppy Cat didn't even get to that point, though, just because of how much damage was coming in. And Illinois Wesleyan back to square one on this fight. Pulse Bomb doesn't get anything either from Wavy. I don't know if he even forced Suzu.
No, and I think it just missed everything. Just tried to throw in the backline, maybe a swift step out for Skier, targeting the wrong hero, it seems. Love takes a decent bit of damage, and it does seem like Illinois Wesleyan is going directly for this point pressure. But the problem is with how many different positions they're holding from, that healing focus for Puppycat has to be focused in so many different directions, including very much on Kuzu sitting in the main portion of this point. Atlas has another pulse bomb because of how many kills they found in the previous fight. Kuzu in the middle of everything though. Suzu's already gone. Watch out for the sound barrier alongside the pulse bomb from Atlas. Seems like nobody even needing to press Q for Fisher Freaks. The only one is unread, and they read this play to near perfection. Overtime Wick again has to start burning if Illinois Wesleyan even want to be involved on this point of Palace, and again it'll expire with an inconsequential close. Fisher are on match and series point on Suravasa.
Eerily close from joining Fisher Esports as the second Fisher team to make it in Texas to lock in one of the final bids. There's only a few left, and this will be a very important one. Honestly, the format is just getting more ridiculous as it is, but EXO, they get staggered out immediately, and Fisher just continue to press W in Illinois Wesleyan, who are running out of answers to this ambush.
I mean, you got sound barrier again for Mookie, pulse bomb on the way, Kitsune, assuming it properly gets deployed this time. I don't want to presume anything considering the previous attempts we've had at a couple ultimates today. But, I mean, Fisher already capping early. They're getting full advantage of it, and now Kitsune will be used, this time successfully, and Skier dies immediately. A javelin to the face will close that life off with a T, and an early decision to pop a sound barrier where the fight was, I'm not going to say already over, but well on its way to doing so. 30% for Fisher and multiple ultimates dedicated. They could be okay with the opening to that.
No, I think they're, like you said, they're okay with it. It's obviously not ideal. They wish they would have won that fight because they also did use 2 ultimates. But they only have to win, let's say, 2 fights. If they flip it over and then they win the next, depending on how long it takes.
Welcome to somehow finding environmental kills while playing Orisa, not using the Terra Surge, on a map with very few opportunities to find the aforementioned environmental kills. If that doesn't tell you how this series is going for Illinois Wesleyan, I don't know what verbally will. This is just so good for Fisher.
Kuzuryu might get no, they will get healed back up just in time. But honestly, it just seems to be one mini thing after another that's hurting Illinois Wesleyan. And enough of those little bit of injuries, they're gonna mount up at some point. They will go to point very early. They will almost flip.
Honestly, they don't have to flip immediately. They can slow this fight down if it plays to their favor, and as of right now, it will. EXO finds damage, will walk in. A well-timed Suzu completely counteracts that Terra Surge, but not enough to where Kuzu falls off the edge of their own volition, I might add. This time, a Javelin isn't needed to be the catalyst of it, but the benefit, Illinois Wesleyan capped back, so maybe a touch is available, but I wouldn't hold my breath.
If they get these staggers, it's done. They're trying to jump on EXO and Mookie. EXO gets a pick, but they got to get somebody there.
Time 98%. The Orisa's the only one alive. The horse is not that fast. The horsepower much more needed than the horse herself. Fisher Freaks will run away with this series, and with a Kitsune rush, will sprint their way down to Texas, or much more advisedly, fly their way down to Arlington. They will take the ECAC Elite Grand Finals and put their bid to CECC.
It wasn't maybe the cleanest performance there from Fisher, but I think you really got a grasp of what they can be at their best moments, especially on that map. Like, once they got started, I was like, no, we're not giving this up. We're like, we lost the map, sure. But no, we're not letting this get any farther. This is going to end here at 4-1. Congratulations to everyone at Fisher. The only school for Overwatch to send 2 teams to Texas. That is an astounding feat that they have just accomplished. And obviously, we don't know the seeding. We don't know the format quite yet, but that will definitely be an interesting team to watch and is maybe a wild card that not everyone may not be thinking of right away.
And you have to remember, they've also already sent a team from Rocket League today. You'd have to expect a couple other rosters are headed down there as well for different games.
I believe Valorant is for sure. Yeah. And I think they have 2 Smash Bros. Teams going?
Yeah, this is a very dominant school. Across multiple titles and for multiple teams, even in individual titles. Smash, Rocket League, they are one of the best in the country. They are getting up there, especially in that game. And here in Overwatch, according to Okra, the Overwatch Collegiate Ranking Association, I believe that's the abbreviation, initialism, the way it works. They are 4 and 6 respectively, and they have 4 in this series. 4-1 for Fisher College. They will run away with the series, sprint their way down to Texas, and we are going to head to a quick break. When we come back, Unread here for an interview from Fisher to cap off the very successful ECAC Elite Final Series. 3-0, no, 4-1 for the Fisher Freaks. That was the previous break. I got behind on myself. They will send themselves down to CECC Texas sometime late. That's Twin Salty. We've just wrapped up our ECAC Elite Finals. If you missed it, you missed a fairly decent match, and if you're a Fisher fan, you missed an even better match. If you are a Fisher, however, you're probably in our voice call. We've got Unread for a interview after this one. Unread, you gotta say after that series, pretty decent close, but it did get a little concerning towards the later stages.
You just want to have fun. I think
Yes, I knew they called it for content. I was right.
Yeah,
I'm so
we want to like have a little fun there. I don't know. My flex support blocked Life Weaver, and I knew that we were cooked. So
Yeah, I was gonna ask them, like, we had a feeling it was like, all right, they're maybe throwing something at the wall here to see if it works. I'm guessing like when you got into that map and once you lost, it's like, all right, we're locking in now.
pretty much, we're like, okay, let's just end. Let's just like go home. Let's just end this.
I mean, hey,
Fair
you
enough.
guys are moving into Suravasa. I said in our prod chat, I'm like, they're probably just playing at a flashpoint, so they don't have to book another scrim block. Were you guys happy with at least some of the practice you got towards the later stages? Because if it wasn't practice, that was hell of a game plan.
We've been playing together since February, so by this point we were already warmed up with each other and had a lot of time to work with each other. So I'd say by that point we were during the match, like everything we worked and practiced with kind of fell through, or not fell through, like just kind of like came together here. Like
Mhm.
we just had like a really good match today, so pretty happy.
Nice.
Yeah, for sure. A lot to be happy about. And, we talked about it already. Qualified for CECC Texas. How does that feel to be going over to Texas here in 2 weeks?
Oh, I'm really excited. I missed the last one, the one last year, but now I'm really excited to finally go. I've never been to Texas before, so I'm really
Okay.
excited. Everyone here is also very excited to go. Some people went there last year, coming back again this year, so we're all very happy.
And how does it feel as a team to be able to have that understanding that, hey, you've qualified to basically the biggest collegiate event of maybe not even this year, but ever, especially as such a new roster? You said it, you've been playing since February.
We're super excited. We know we know a bunch of teams that are gonna go there are gonna be really, really good teams. We want to put on a good showing and prove that we're not just like just another Fisher team, that we are going to go above and beyond here. And
So
we also putting our time towards ABC, the main Overwatch tournament. So we have more practice time for that. No more Wednesday games. So frees up our schedule a little bit too.
So, speaking of the Overwatch Collegiate event, as of right now, I don't think this is going to change. Jesse, I think, can correct me on this if I'm wrong. You will have not only CECC to play over that weekend in 2 weeks' time, but you'll also have Overwatch Collegiate. How are you balancing your prospective schedule, assuming you get to that point in Overwatch Collegiate? Because if I've just seen what I did, there's no way you don't make the last couple rounds.
um, I think we're gonna have to figure something out with the schedule. I think I know like almost every single team that's going to collegiate will probably make it or that's going to Texas is gonna play there. So it's not just us. So I hope that CCC has something for us to let us use the PCs early or something to help let us play. Otherwise, like
A little complicated.
yeah, it's a very complicated situation, yeah. But I think we'll be fine. It's just playing in a different space. So
And
Yeah, for sure.
moving out of ECAC, you're escaping with the victory. Any final thoughts on the season for you guys? Because it seemed fairly comfortable for you out of the Elite Series. And at this point, you guys seem to be having fun in a grand final for a massive land qualifier. And yet, you seem to break absolutely no sweats.
yeah, going into ACAC every semester, I played in this league since fall 2021. Mostly it's been the same level of competition. We go into the season knowing we were going to win. We wanted to go to Texas, so we didn't want to break that land opportunity as well. So we were not only knowing not no we were knew we were going to win, but we also just wanted to just secure that qualification for us. So, yeah, like nothing more to it than that. But I mean, hopefully we'll see. Maybe next semester, I want to see some more schools in ECAC for Overwatch. I don't know what that'll take, but it's it's been fun, and it was a fun Wednesday. It was fun every Wednesday. I'll just put it that.
Yeah.
Hey, that's good. Hey, well, before we let you go, any final thoughts from you on this specific series, on ECAC or CECC qualification as a whole, or just anybody you want to shout out? The floor is all yours.
I want to meet Ronald McDonald in CCC. I missed that last semester or last year.
I think we've got an opportunity for you on that one. So start planning for the future. It is Fisher Freaks moving to CECC. That's between May 3rd and 5th at the Esports Stadium in Arlington. If you want to meet Unread or just see Fisher play in person, we will hopefully see you there. Unread, thank you very much for joining us. Again, congrats on the victory and qualifying to Texas.
Thank you very much.
So, Jesse, that's it for at least this series, but by no means it for Fisher Freaks or a heck of a lot of other teams in this general realm of Overwatch Collegiate.
No, Texas, I've been saying it I was saying in the green, I've been saying it internally. This is going to be one of the most insane tournaments ever for collegiate Overwatch. Like, obviously, OW2.
Not even just collegiate Overwatch.
Yeah, but like you look at some of the teams that are on here, and I was looking at the Okra top 10 earlier. I believe every single team in the top 10 has qualified now for this event.
I actually have it up on my other screen.
Ridiculous.
As of right now, Illinois State, Maryville, Northwood, Fisher, the main team, Winthrop, Fisher Freaks, UCI, that's University of California at Irvine, I believe, Converse, Arizona State, that's his school, and Blinn College. I believe everybody
qualified.
there has qualified, plus maybe St. Clair. I think Boise State has made it. That's the top 12.
Boise State, I believe, qualified through Mountain West, or in a position to they did qualify through Mountain West. I wasn't sure if that final was played yet, but it is going to be an insane event. I will just say this: tune in, right? Tune in May 3rd through 5th. No matter what, I know I'm going to be tuning in, and it's going to be an incredible tournament. So. Best of luck to Fisher Freaks. I do think they can be a dark horse to make some noise, whether it be in groups and eventually the knockout stage, because I would not be surprised if they made it out of groups.
Yeah, well, don't forget, Overwatch is not the only match or series or game, that's the word I was looking for, being played at CECC Texas. It's also not the only game played in the ECAC. We still have ECAC Elite Finals for League of Legends. That's down the line. It's Farmingdale State College up against Southeast Missouri State. You saw League of Legends in the background of our interview. We will see League of Legends on the mainstream on Friday. But that's it for us. That's it for the ECAC Overwatch side of things. Fisher Freaks qualify to Arlington. We'll see them there in 2 weeks and change. Hopefully, we'll see you there as well. I've been Time to Light. That's been Twin Salty. We'll see you Friday for League of Legends.